Ladies and fucking gentlemen, welcome back to the User Hectic Podcast with me, your host, Justin Freeburn. This week we have Oisín McCallion, up and coming comedian all the way from Derry / LondonDerry. Oisín is absolutely hilarious. You can come see us both on the 27th of October in Magee University in Derry. We are fucking going to be telling jokes and all fucking. Anyway, I have no idea what the fuck I'm saying. Play a fucking intro. What is the crack, sir? Just get stuck into this.
All good in the head. I know you're on about them lights too. I do all that fucking acting stuff. These here thing are an absolute. They're hard to get on Amazon. You can order. I think how much are they? Like 60, 100.
Yeah, that was like
we paid 80.
80. No, that's I mean like I was looking at one. I had it in the cart and it was sitting there for ages, and I was going around asking everybody the details, and I was like, is this the right one to buy? And everybody's like, I don't know, zoom in. And like it basically would have been like, you know, the Pixar lamp. It would have been about the size of that there for the same price.
It's a fucking IKEA light.
Man, I can't read.
No, we were lucky we got them ones, and see even like the lights behind us, these like coloured ones, they're garden lights. They're like meant to be like for like a wall outside. There's like holes in them for you like to nail the thing.
They're like the ones you'd find like a garden gnome's like beard just up his face, just like 3 o'clock in the morning stumbling home.
No. You had any wild night outs recently? I know you were talking about getting engaged, and that's.
Well, when we got engaged, it was like November last year. So that's actually
congratulations, by the way.
Thanks very much.
When did you get engaged?
November, 2021. It was cracker. We were down at Ashford Castle. It's a big name drop there. Don't know if you know this. Pierce Brosnan got married there. It was class. But no, we got engaged down there. We're going together about 4 years. But see, when you got home, like everybody wanted to get a night out with you, and everybody wanted to obviously see the ring and stuff, and I was always like sweating in case somebody was like, that's fake. It's a fake ring.
YouTube videos with guys whip out the diamond testers. They're all shit.
I'd be straight back to hit Samuel. I'd be like, he's brought me. But no, so every night out it was the same thing. She was doing that, and I was like biting nails, but it was just a constant sesh because we're always like out in Derry. There's a place called the Bull now. It's like Martha's Vineyard.
Oh right.
And it's same as there's another place in there called Da Vinci's, but Derry has this vibe. These two places, it's very medieval. Yeah. So it's like the two nicer spots in Derry to go out. I know Belfast, you have like Cathedral Quarter and all that sort of. No, but I like the same way Belfast because obviously the fiance she went to uni in Queens. Yeah. So it's the same there. Derry bars and Belfast bars, they're kind of the same, but Belfast can offer a lot more. Like Limelight, I went down there and that was like my Spotify like dream.
Oh, was it?
Oh, it was just everything I had on my playlist, and I was like, hey, I thought somebody logged into my Spotify.
So that's very vague because Limelight has had loads of different nights.
It has,
like it used to have like rock nights, then there was like just like 90s techno nights, and then like it was like fucking like rap, you know, like hip hop and
R&B.
You're like all the above.
No, it was weird because I could understand too, like somebody, you know, it's sleep paralysis where like somebody like getting held down. But it's kind of like that in Limelight because you could either love it or hate it.
Yeah.
I
love it or hate it. Sleep paralysis. Man could have said Marmite. He said sleep paralysis.
Well, some girls like getting choked. That's a no, it does like that the way Limelight because you get that stage where you're that blocked that you could be on listening to like Blank 180 and like you're going back, and then it's Maroon 5 McFly. You like go 2 doors over and you walk onto like a pure like techno world, and there's like some boy running past like sniffing a glow stick, and you know, you get that like weird nightmare vibe where like you open the bus door and you're in like a canteen from primary school. It's a weird vibe, but
open the bus door.
You
step through a fucking the back door to like Tesco's and you end up in like NASA, you know.
You end up in Dahmer's vortex. But
Jesus Christ.
We'll get there. No, it's been good though being engaged. Anytime that people ask, so they're always like, "How old are you?" And anytime I would say like, "Oh, I'm 23," they'd be like, "Fuck, I thought you were like 30." Yeah. So like they would see then that like, "Oh, you're engaged and you're 23," and they might be like 25, but they're looking at you like, you know, you have, oh, you should be getting engaged at like 40.
Yeah, you've got that Irishman syndrome, the same as me, where people think you're like fucking 10 years older than what you are. It's disgusting. Like I hate it.
I had to show my ID in bars to prove that I was younger than 18 when I was like I went to Sugar, big place in Derry.
Sorry, old timer, you can't be getting on that right now.
I mean, like, I'm 16. I just passed my GCSE, seriously. But no, I went down to Sugar, met up with my brother. No, I didn't drink. I was 18, big Catholic. But I went down to Sugar, and I remember there was like a wee girl down there, time, and you just assume that anybody you see in a nightclub when you're 16, you just assume everybody's, if not the same age, they're older. So this wee girl looked at me and was like, "Sorry, no, I'm 17." I was like, "I'm 16." And she's like, "Give me your ID." I just showed her like my Northwest Regional College like student ID. I was like, "There you go." And
That's how I met your mother.
That's what, and she just looked at me and say, "Good one." So you can't even. It was a grind. But
no, that's why. Like, I don't know what it is about that. Like, the amount of times like we've been on like a night out, and like if there's like a group of girls talking to us or whatever, they would be like our mates love doing this. They go, "Who do you think's the youngest out of us?" And I'm like, "Oh, shut the fuck up." They love us, and because I'm the youngest one out of the group by like 2 years, and every time like the group of girls will like look at like you or Adrian or something and go, "You're the youngest," and then like our mate Liam is the oldest out of the group, or like they look at him and say it, and then I'm just sitting there like, "I am." Like,
you're the daddy of the group, like.
Hey, yo, say it again louder for the crowd.
that was one of my first. Well, I say first. I'm not doing this.
Your first sexual experiences. You're the daddy of the group.
Who's your daddy? No,
who's your daddy?
Whenever I did my first ever stand-up set, it was the February before COVID.
Before COVID, yeah.
Before, so it was just on the front door.
I remember you telling me about that after. Whenever the first time I met you was in the PAV.
Aye.
Shocker. The PAV comes up in this podcast more than fucking anything ever. Like.
You're going to have to get sponsored by the PAV. Like promotion codes for like, I'm going to get a free pint of stout.
I'll be happy enough with a fucking gig. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't we all?
You're saying that because it was going to give you a bit of time at the end to plug it anyway, but you're doing the PAV tomorrow, aren't you?
PAV tomorrow night time.
Yeah.
When does this go out?
Wednesday, maybe.
Wednesday.
Or maybe Tuesday.
Earlier, yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday. So fucking who knows? I don't like putting it out on Tuesday because Pete and all put theirs out on a Tuesday.
That's right, sorry.
So and then I'm gonna head down to the PAV to see you tomorrow. So that's.
Well, I'm gonna predict the future and say I'm gonna like bomb. So when this comes out, I'm like, oh, Mr. Mac. So they can see it coming.
Even at that, like yesterday, you were doing Black Box.
Yes.
Coven, and you fucking tore the room apart for what the room was anyway. You know.
It was good crack. Obviously we seen what happened and the scary side of the whole thing getting up there, and I loved that. I did it last week. The best of three thing.
Yes, yeah.
But no, it's class, Sarah.
Who won the best of three thing?
The girl, she was actually in the audience yesterday. Short, grey-haired lady, but not like, I think it's like maybe she chose to go grey,
right,
sort of thing. But
right.
no, she was funny. She kind of gave me like auntie vibes, you know, when you're like looking at your auntie after like a night out, and you're like, I'm getting that vibe off you right now.
You know, when you're like looking at your auntie and you're thinking, after a few pints maybe.
No, not like that.
No, I won that the other week, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah, me and Franco tied for it.
I tell you what, I really did think I did. Like, do you know when you like go to a raffle or something in like a school hall?
Yeah.
And it's like last raffle I went to a school hall, it was like a Nintendo Wii and like Mario Kart was going up for it. And my brother and me, like, we spent a couple of pounds on the tickets, and you're just standing there being like, I think we bought all the tickets. There's no reason why we can't win. But that was how I felt last Saturday. I was like, I did my best. Yeah. And and you're sitting there in your stomach, you're looking around, you're like, oh, I can't wait to see other faces when they announce my name being the winner. And then as soon as they said, you're like, oh, well, it's pretty obvious who won. Yeah. And then they shouted the woman's name, and I was like,
was it obvious?
And it was like Zoolander when he thinks he's going up to accept the award. It's like Han Solo. But no, it was grand. She was a belter at it, and then you did that wee thing where, I have to go get a bus. Like, you're like, stupid comedy. But no, it was good crack. They got the gig in on Saturday, and crack was 90 at it. It was nice seeing Franco and William as well. William was up. He did brilliant.
Yeah. Well, for William, anyway, that was probably the shittest I've seen William do.
Really?
Yeah. See, whenever like. See, he did that first.
You're risking a lift today, right here.
No, William knows what he's like. That's a compliment. I'm saying, like, that's the worst I've seen him do, and he still killed it, you know. But he, like, literally the last time I seen William do shite was in Yo magazine, but at the same time he was headlining it, and he fucking blew the room apart, and he came off and he was like, oh, that was so shit, I hated that, and we were all just like, all the open micers just sitting looking at him going, you dick, that was fucking unreal. That was. Yeah, but no, he always does good. But no, because the first ever time I actually met you was in the POV, and you had one of the worst deaths I've seen
Christ.
today.
That was a car crash, and the car crash was actually the best thing that happened that night. I swear to God. And the worst thing about it then was, so when it happened, obviously the only thing in your head when you do shit, you're just like, I want to run. I'm like,
I wish someone would fucking just crash this car.
I wish. But I'm not saying anything else, but I just assumed that, like, and because when you're up on your own, you can like either get on a car and like drive home after like, I need to go to the toilet and then never come back, or else you can run to Europa and get a bus. But because I was up where I left the boys and they all did class, and I was just sitting there like, you know, like looking out the window, but it was like looking at a black curtain and pavilion. But we got out then and obviously got as far as the traffic lights. Boom, smack, and fucking car just turned. And it was my side too.
Mike, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mike Carlisle, shut it. But it wasn't his fault. Like, it was this fella just came out of nowhere at the lights, and I remember I was like so raging because like I dropped my phone as well in the car and I couldn't find that for a while, and my legs like were like, I was like but I got out of the car then and I seen this boy for the second time. Adam Byrne.
Yeah.
I would say Brian or Bryn because they spelled that.
It was his whole like his Twitter name's like Adam Byrne, pronounced Byrne.
Like, Adam Byrne then like walked past me because he was in the audience at the gig too, and was like, oh shit, man, we in a car crash. And I was standing while Mike's on the phone, and I was like, yep.
He was walking out. He lives down around the corner from Lavery, so he just like danders home, and just let everyone know where he lives, by the way. But I remember him like telling me like the next day, he was like, yeah, like Oisín and Mike were in a car crash right beside me. I was like, right, boys, what's the crack? There's a Chinese there too, and this boy came out and he was like, I'm not gonna do an accent, but like he came out. Was he from Derry or? Craig Adam. No, he came out with like 2 bottles of water and was like, handed me a mic, and I like never drunk a bottle of water quicker in my life. I was like, you know, when you see people crossing that's just, I don't know what it was, but I see getting home and all I could think about was the gig, and forgot that Mike's driving a car where there's a literal hole in it at the front of the headlights. Jesus Christ. Like, fair play to him, he took it like a champ too. Like, if that was me, I would be like just blaming everything on the way home. You know when you get like a speeding van, you're blaming everybody by yourself for speeding. Yeah. You're like, hey, put them 4 wheels there. At 3 o'clock, that has to be illegal. Can you do that on a Sunday? Or like, you're blaming. I had dinner today. What the fuck? That should not happen. Of all days, my granny wanted me to come see her today. All day. So it's just typical. But you know what? I tell you, he took it like a champ. He played it so cool on the whole way, the whole drive home, and I was just like, it was my fault too, because he was going to take another way, and I was like, no, go this way. And that's when it happened, as soon as we like hit that road. Sure, what can you do? Like, it's just shit situation to be in. But it was like, I remember that gig being like, I was like, nice to meet you. You went on, and I was like, oh god, that was rough, man. That was so bad. But then the next time I seen you again was in Chicken Box. Right. And it was the next time me and you like performed together. So that was the empty one. Yeah, it was just comedians. It was empty for the first half, and then the second half randomly just filled up. But it was just I remember you came on, you were just doing crowd work, and I was like, fucking hell, that's unreal. I was like, that's one thing I've noticed about you is like your crowd work seems to be coming along a lot better than any of ours. Like, you know, like even out of all the guys who are doing really well, like Pete and all, I'm like, your crowd work is killing at the minute. So I appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know what it is. Whenever I did the very first one before COVID, I kind of went down way all things, and anything I say, not really now. Like, things I say now is true but exaggerated. Yeah. But I feel magic. I feel sorry, but I feel like a lot of comedians tend to go up and ball bag a lot. Like, they'll say, oh, I was in Dubai, and they don't even have a passport. Oh, so, yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly, yeah. Can't fork it out. But that's fair enough. I get to that. It's not all about true stories, but I feel that if you can go up and tell a real story, and then if you want to like turn up the volume of it and the exaggeration of it, like, as long as people believe you and this, that, and the other. But doing the first one, I went up with a list of stuff that actually happened. You get heckled, and then you end up talking to them and that. But nowadays as well, everybody tends to go up and you can see that they've revised it for a good solid hour, and you're like, that's a script. It doesn't even sound like comedy anymore. It just sounds like you're doing a monologue. Yeah. Do you know why you inspired me a bit to like change that, like after that Chicken Box gig, and that was why I've like changed my whole set to just talking shit now, not as in like lying, but you know what I mean. Like, I'll go up and I write on stage a lot. Like, I don't like maybe I don't like write any like script, as you say, a script.
Aye.
So I sort of just I like take notes of bits, and then I go up and sort of just work my way through it, and then if I need to, I'll like talk to the crowd, and I have a bit of fun with it. And that's when I seen you do that in Chicken Box, and I went, see, that's why he's doing so well, because it was like that is so much better than like just going up and just reading word for word what you. Well, again, it works for some people.
Everybody. It's I think for a while there I was starting to think nobody, not even like I did a gig on that mentioning the name of the venue, but I went on, and before I even got up, I was like, nobody in here likes me, and like I swear to God, just got that vibe in the room. It's majority of the room was comedians.
Does it rhyme with vampire?
No, that was the opposite. Everybody loved me. That was class. Colin Murphy, handshakes in the back. That was lethal.
Unreal.
But no, this again, no, that's it. Yeah. But when I went into the room, I was like looking around me, and I was like, right, typical. It's just more comedians than it is actual audience members, because people don't want to promote. They want to like put it up on a Facebook page and be like, turn up. Yeah. And then you can't really get many people in for that.
I think I know what you're talking about.
So I went down the place and looked around, seen all these comedians, and a few of them I knew and a few of them I just knew of. And there was like 2 people in the audience that wasn't, and they were there anyway. And I got up and I was like,
2 of the bar staff.
I'll just looked at it saying, right, looking forward to the headliner, and I have to sit through this dick. And you go up and you do your bit, and you end up just, it's awkward. No, you're talking about earlier about the sound of the light. That's what it's like. You're just like, that's all you can hear. Yeah. And it was like the pavilion too. Whenever you're dying up there, all you can hear is the actual volume coming from the light bulb. Yeah, it's a weird.
You hear like the bar staff like shaking ice. See, whenever you can hear the bar staff shaking ice,
making a margarita at the worst time.
every why is that? Like someone always whips out a fucking margarita or a fucking daiquiri or something, and you're like, there's no need for that.
I turn into like a pure dad now, and I'm 23, but I turned into a pure dad whenever you're it happened to me at Bennigan's one time recently, and I was like getting up to the big part of the punchline of the joke. Yeah. It's not, I don't even do a punchline, it's just like that part of the joke, but this person over here decided it would be a class party, full on like 180, and then start talking to the person beside them, and I did this like I was in the middle doing my bit now, and and like the person just like and I felt like, when you tell the weighing off in the back seat of the car,
I'll turn this fucking gig around, so
slam the brakes. But it's a wild thing, and a few places done it. The one that we actually done at Magee, there was a bit of background noise, and even the MC just did that thing where he raised his voice, and just it was like getting a slap in the hand, like, you won't do it again.
Yeah, how did that one go?
It was class.
Yeah,
it was class.
Better than ours anyway.
That's not fair on the way that went down, but we were close to that too, and you could have went that way because there was just a few things that happened, but in comparison to that we got it easy. And
I had a good gig. Like I had like a good, like on stage I was on, if you want to call it that, like I actually had like a good like reception from the crowd, considering how much people were down on their hole, and I was like, so I was happy enough whenever I came off, but it was just everything. Like the lights were left on. Like it felt like Kieran said this. It felt like a fucking bowling alley. Like, and you were like just sitting there like, oh, what the fuck is this? And you could see everyone's face, and I just sort of like acknowledged how awkward it was that I could see everyone's face, and they were laughing at that. But then, so you did it, and is there an actual fucking stage in that one in the game?
There's a full blown platform, because
unreal.
It is. You're actually up a pretty decent height, and that worried me when I seen it the first time, because I was like, I literally don't want to be like, looking down at people. Like, but at the same time, when you're up there, everybody's at a good the way they done the place up as class, and I never seen it beforehand, but when we got on, and they only really got it fixed recently, because even I went on the week before, the one that when me, Sean and Pete did that Kiwis, I had to go on there that day, and the bar was still getting put on. The bar manager was like stressing out. He was like, I've told them they're not leaving until that's fitted. And I could like imagine them later like, no, I don't care. Your wains are crying, you ain't going home. But he was fair play to him. He took charge on it, and when I got there, and the place was looking class, all nice, like them lights and stuff, serving all nice pints on draft. They had like Guinness, Clonmel didn't work, but it'll work into this multiplex. I was dying for a pint of Clonmel.
Again, no fucking draft pints. Everything, it was just IPA beer bottles. I'm like, bro, give me a fucking Heineken.
That sounded like such like a Godfather like setup to get killed, like, and like after the toll booth.
It felt
that's
like
what it looked like.
It literally was like, it was just such a weird room, and like fair play to Kieran. Kieran like made it still a good night. You know, he like had everyone sorted and all. He brought his own like light and mic and stuff or whatever it was. He brought with him. Yeah.
Did they not have one at the?
No light, but like I think maybe the mic. I'm not sure, but I just remember him walking out with like a load of equipment in his hand. And Kieran, like he was the only reason that night went half decent.
Aye.
So and then, like Pete headlining it did really well as well. So. It was a weird fucking thing. Like Kieran was trying his best to keep everyone sorted, and the like he was all to me, right? I think we might need to keep it to 7 minutes because it's like awkward. Like they're being awkward about times, and then it like came to it, and he was all, do whatever you want. He was like, do as much time as you need. Because
I reckon he just got that stage where he was like, fuck him.
Yeah,
like, and not that way where it'll end up doing any damage to them.
Yeah, exactly. He was just like, you know. I'll give them back what they're giving to me here. So that's what I was like, you know, whenever we heard about how well yours went, we were like, that's class. Like, so whenever you asked me, I was like, fucking unreal.
Oh, well, that's the worst thing about it too, because chatting to him yesterday, I felt kind of shitty because obviously I got the gig because of him.
Yeah.
He wanted to, because he's that enthusiastic and has all these ideas. He was the boy that went to Queens and was like, oh, I want to do that comedy club, and then they were like, they kind of give him that and I thought the complete opposite when I heard this, and you'll understand why. Whenever he said he went there and he said, aye, Queens want to do the gig in Union, all good, and they were like, aye, all good, but we want one in Derry too.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's grand. He reached out to me and I appreciate that. And I was sort of like, no bother. And it was my first time with Eventbrite and all that sort of stuff. And I went, it was risky and it was scary, but this, that, and the other, and you're dealing with money. It's never fun, but it's fun when you get it. But but he.
It's the thought if you're going to get it. Isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And but no, the whole thing there is that he obviously set it up with Queens. They were like, no bother, but jump through this hoop and give us one in Derry, and he did. But then for the Magee one, they become the better one, and be more prepared than the one that was the original. You would think straight away, because Belfast, had to say it, the big smoke, but it you would imagine that there'd be a lot more effort put into that scene because you have Lavery's, Pug,
I know that's we were like, you know, obviously the epicenter for Northern Irish comedy at the minute is Belfast, so we were like, I was expecting so much more from the venue. Again, I'm not putting Kieran down in any way because Kieran was a fucking
he couldn't
legend.
do anything about that.
Exactly. He did everything he could to make sure everyone was sweet, you know, and like, and he knows that as well. You know, he was just stressed out the entire time. But fair play to him. But it was just such a fucking, like, whenever I just seen, even if they could have turned the lights off, I was like, fucking.
Aye, that's weird. That is weird, because that was the thing that I nearly had a problem with, because I asked the bar manager on the Friday beforehand. I was like, we were looking at the lights, and I was like, I like down in Magee, they have the nice like candle LEDs through, but it's a nice like sort of orangey autumny glow on them that's nice, and so they're all around pillars, and then these big moon sized fucking light bulbs that's kind of like a tent on them too, and tent
I just said, I was like, that Derry accent's wild. I'm not even going to correct him on that. You got your tainted windows.
I'm sure tainted ones, but no, so we have a lot there, but then you obviously have these big typical Union white square lights. So I was like, can we get them off on the night? And he was like, I no bother. And then it got to the night, and then there was a trad band before us, and I was sort of sitting there, I was like, when are they going? And it was like getting close to our time, and they were still on stage talking, they were doing requests, and I was like, fucking wrap it up, because started people coming in, and then I asked the woman in charge of the bar, I was like, can we get the lights off? And he said, I'm not allowed to turn the white ones off, I'm not allowed to turn them off, and I was saying, I don't want to sink anybody or get anybody in trouble, so I'm not going to lie, but I was told you can get them off. And she was like really hesitant on it, and then I think she just took the leap of faith and was like, I'm going to take your word. I'm going to take your fucking word.
Like, see, there's nothing better than that as well whenever someone's like happy enough to do that, you know, but it's weird how much gigs Kieran's run, isn't it? Like, it's just wild how like he knows everyone, and I don't know where the hell he's getting. I'm all, how are you getting about this? And he goes, they just were talking to me, like, and I'm like, how do you like?
It's very likeable. It's very likeable, and that's one thing you need when you're trying to do this, because if you want a gig, you kind of have to be likeable. You don't want to kiss an arse, because you can kiss an arse and then somebody will be like, oh, he gets up and he does a bit of comedy, but he's only hanging about with these people or giving these gigs to these people because he wants to be in with them. And I feel like Kieran just has that natural vibe. Same way he's all like, I don't think there is anybody right now that's kind of like kissing arse to get ahead, and
there's a few I can name, but I'll say none.
But no, I think
you know them quite well as well.
I'm just a boy from the farm down in Derry. I'm just a stables boy.
How to save yourself?
Just a stables boy. I don't know what goes on up in the big house, but
you look like you could be in, you know, like like one of them romantic novels. Like
the
you
secret.
look. Yeah, you look like you could be in one of them, like, you know, the stories where like the stable boy was like out shoveling the hay and the girl's just watching him through like the window. Like.
You're giving me like what do you call it, my cement vibes, like Lenny or something.
My seaman.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, I think I might get into a question here. Just
go for it.
Yeah. I got a few wee questions there, so happy enough. Yeah. There, what's the first one? We'll go for from Talal Jamar. You know him? From, I think he's from the Moy. He's a comedian.
Right.
Yeah, he's hilarious as well. He says, if you could star in any movie, what would it be?
Class.
Yeah, and that's we've got a fucking actor on, so.
I've always grew up watching like mafia films.
Yeah.
Goodfellas is my favourite.
Yeah,
I love Goodfellas.
Again, you look like you could be like the love interest.
I like what
like
do you
up
call
a horse head in your bed.
Aye.
No, my stable horse.
I know. No, Gizmo. Gizmo the horse. I'm just calling you horse. Like dog names, like Bingo the horse.
Oh, that's Rex the horse.
Big Rex.
Well, Buster.
I love mafia films. I remember I always wanted to be in like Marvel films there for a while, but it's a complete opposite now.
Yeah.
Since Disney Plus and that came around, I don't.
And you don't want to be on steroids for too long, so.
Could do with steroids, but But no, I think after seeing what Disney Plus and I was doing with the Marvel films, like I think I would love a good like Irishy one. Like I love the Brendan Gleeson, Colin Farrell like sort of ones. What do you call director? Did in Bruges, 3 Billboards. He's a really cool dude.
I know who you're talking about, but yeah, any of them like old, let's say old, but they look like they're old. You know,
culty sort of films, not cult films, but like a cult classic. Cult classics. All them ones, that new one's coming out, the Banshee and a show, and like all them
yes.
I would love to be in a cool like Irishy film that's not about the or about being gay. That's like 2 films. Like that seems to be what Ireland's good for, like coming out stories and like coming out with a petrol plant story. It's kind of the two. But mafia.
No, that's definitely something that like obviously it's the same thing you say. Like I always want to get into acting at one point. Like we're starting sketches if we fucking get our shit together as well. So like I always want to get into like acting as well. So I always, again, Marvel movies at the start, but then I love like, you know, like just weird characters like in a Tarantino movie. Like I know that's very
that's true too.
That's very like vague and, you know, like everyone's answer. But see, like, you know, like what's Brad Pitt's character in Inglourious Bastards?
Lieutenant
fucking
Stiglitz, is it?
Yeah.
No, that's the boy that get out of jail.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Elro Lane.
Yeah. Like see that character, or even like if I was to get into a movie, I would love to play it like a fucking psychotic bad guy. I know that's very like the Joker's made that like very, but like again in Inglourious Basterds is the only thing that just popped into my head.
Seems to be you get more chicks too for chicks and wee girls. You get more like wee girls. If you play a psycho these days, like everybody's like, you know, flipping over Peter Evans for playing a fucking cannibal.
Jeffrey Dahmer, Ross Mitchell.
Like, shreds.
Do you know Ross Mitchell?
Ross Mitchell. Aye.
From the pub.
Holy shit, that's right. That was glasses
I was gigging with him on Thursday there, and
that's hilarious.
He was on stage, and I looked at him, and I just pictured him going like,
"Eat the sandwich."
Eat the sandwich.
You were like, "Get the camera."
Because I'm pretty sure he did a bit about it as well. He did a bit about it was either him or someone else, but someone was doing a bit about how. Like they're getting all these like sexy people to play a psychopath.
That was me yesterday.
It was you, yeah.
That
Fuck,
was me yesterday.
I just heard him say, yeah.
I was Steve Buscemi.
How weird is that I just mentioned his own bit to him?
I know. I feel
imagine Ada said, I wrote this bit about.
Here's
like,
the bit I wrote.
No, like I couldn't remember who said it. Yeah, but it was like that bit had me thinking. It was like whenever Ross was there, I was like,
I can't believe I missed that. Ross Mitchell spitting image. I know. That's hilarious.
But yeah, no, like I would love to play like something like you know the way Christoph Waltz is in Inglourious Basterds.
Watch.
Yeah, like
Christoph Waltz. I thought you said Christopher Walken.
No, again, that's another one that's just, you know, like a weird character that's like, you know, this watching his ass, you know, like, but like Christoph Waltz, the way he's like, do you mind if we speak English for the rest of this? You know, like I love that whole.
It's an absolute master class of watching it, and even the part that start with the floorboards and they're like, it's crazy.
They're hiding under there, aren't they?
Oh,
I did that accent perfect. I'm happy with that.
He's a German.
I would love to, but just in general, a weird one for me, and then you want some sort of Irish mafia or like
Irish. I saw him like I think nowadays what's that one, Love and Hate down there in Dublin, like that stuff's pretty good. But
yeah, Robert Sheehan was in that, wasn't he? Yeah, he wasn't a big character in it, but I love Robert Sheehan. Have you acted in much so far, or is it just like comedy at the minute, where we're just like as and when we can get it?
Back in the day, when I was in tech, it's all like tech classics. It's like Coming Out Dear Da. It's all like short films.
Oh yeah.
Very first one I did, I had to get, like, it was a student film, and this is no hatred towards students. It's just what you have to deal with when you're there in the media course. You're in the performing arts course, and they kind of have to use their office. They'd be like, all right, we're gonna shoot this film. You come up to this address, and it's like it really does look like really, what's the word, ropey. But you're growing up, and it's like student accommodation, and they're like, right, we're going to shoot this scene, you waking up in this bed, and then you're going to come on and you're going to get a shower.
Everything we've ever shot ever, it's always someone waking up in a bed.
Yeah. Especially when you're 16, like I was, and you look like, 20, but I was like lying there. They were like, right, you're going to lie down in the bed, and you're lying down in this like student's bed, and obviously it's not nice. Yeah. There's like random hairs everywhere in the bed, and you're just like, is that a fucking off the scalp or off the other one? And then you're...
That's my shoulder hair, mate.
And they never have a headboard. They never have a headboard. It's always a mattress. Yeah. Very rarely has a sheet too. But you're doing that there, and this tripod's like between your legs, right, Austin? You're just going to wake up and look at the camera, and you're like, you look where the tripod is, and you're just like there. It's all set up here. But
it's always that same thing of like, right, like every up and coming like film person will always, a film person, I'm fucking the lingo down with me, but like it's always the person being like, right, see if we start this off, you just wake up and look at the camera, like that's like you fucking did that way. Chico did that in Tag, and he had to do like a short movie. Yeah. And the first shot
that's how it started, Liam waking up in the bed.
Yeah. Going off. It was the same film. Copyright. You did the second one.
His was just in black and white.
I was just waiting for some like muscular tan boy to come on called Emilio with like a towel on, and you're gonna wake up, Oisín, and Emilio's gonna do the rest. Like, what?
He's standing.
But we had to do, like, I remember doing like a scene there, and the next part was like, all right, you're gonna be like, it's a whole montage thing. That's what it was. And you were you're like, right, you're gonna get in the shower.
Literally the exact same like thing. Ours like started. Well, it was yours, but you know what I mean. Like I was in it for a brief. There was a whole thing. Me and him fell out over this whole movie thing because he was in the middle of shooting it, and I had like a new girlfriend at the time.
Holy shit!
And
did you say nude?
New.
Had a nude girlfriend.
I wish it was fucking nude. But no, like I was in that phase. You know when you're in that honeymoon phase where you're like, you're avoiding everyone bar like your girlfriend. Aye. So like you're kind of skipping out on anything that's going on. And he was like, we're going to shoot today, and I was like, nah, I'm like blah blah blah. And
I want to play with her hair.
I'm shooting my shot, for fuck's sake. But we shot like half of it, and I'm in it, and then he shot the second half with our other mate filling in as me, but like I was wearing a beanie and like a maroon hoodie, and they just got a grey beanie and a maroon hoodie, and like just made sure his face was out of focus.
Did you have a beard at the time or anything?
Well, it was like 15, 16, so it was like just like we scraggly bits,
kids.
Yeah. We peach fuzz like, but
it is weird. That shower scene was mental because it was like they obviously don't have hot water, so it's like cold water, and then you're using like a used towel that's been damp. Yeah, it's rotten. It's a tough life.
A student one as well. Like that towel hasn't been washed in about fucking.
Just reeks of Monster and fucking
depression.
Dissertations.
Regal filter.
Turn it on.
But no. Anyway, that's your answer, Talal. If you ever get the chance, you see Talal. He's always in doing PBs in the Moy. Like that's like his like how would you explain it? Like his local.
What's a PB?
PBs is a bar or whatever in the Moy, and it's like the main one up there. And I'm pretty sure they either get like massive rooms or they get really small rooms, but I don't know. I'm hoping to get doing it soon. So.
Oh, is this a get like for doing comedy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We had another question for let's see what the crack is. Just talk amongst yourselves.
I didn't think I was going to get any questions.
Oh no, that's fucking. And I put it up quite late as well. So if I'd have put it up yesterday, you'd have probably got loads in. See, this is the thing. I say this all the time. We only have the same 80 smicks that listen to this podcast on the so it's all just like chaved out people. Worst thing to come out of Northern Ireland / Belfast in general. So I'm just because you're from Derry yourself, I'll just put that Northern Ireland.
Worst thing to come out?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really do any sort of political
comedians.
Try to get there, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't be that educated. I would say like the best thing. I wouldn't know any worse things to come out of. Probably like I couldn't tell you. we're lethal.
Yeah.
But
There's only Stephen Nolan. Fuck him.
oh fuck, forgot me.
Stephen Nolan is the worst thing to come out of this entire country.
Stephen Nolan.
Jimmy Bryson.
The boys from Belfast that do this every time they like talk on TikTok.
Oh my god, yes, I've been wanting to talk about
What's
these,
up, guys? We're just gonna drink a Red Bull and fucking see what happens.
We're gonna fucking just take a line of coke off my dog's forehead here, and that's gonna get 800 million views, and I'm buying a penthouse apartment in Belfast. So like, you know, but it's the way they talk. I go, so like, guys, like, this is what we're doing. We do a podcast and we've got businesses, like, and you're like, fuck up, you wee dick. I hate this. I hate you so much. They come up on my fucking, their podcast now comes up on my like TikTok algorithm, and I was like, it's just them with their fucking, you know, haircuts that they get trimmed up every 15 minutes, and you're like, chill the fuck out. You do fuck all. Like.
I can't say anything because like I have the top button done showing the chest, but
you've like dark features and all, and like, you know, you suit that kind of look.
What they do though is like they like button the middle shirt button, and it's like all this, and they look like a fucking hourglass, and then they're running around, and the one of the ones that I seen was they always do this like by, I don't know how they can afford it. They're definitely like, their mas and dads must be rich.
Yeah, they talk like that. They talk like they're from the Malone
But they
Road
come
or
onto like these big lethal apartment kitchens in Belfast, and they're like, we just threw a party and it's currently still happening.
Yeah.
So they're like obviously not pushed, and they're all like drinking Coke Zero,
and
they're like, we're not 18 yet. So
it's the fucking cringiest thing ever, because there's like 10 of them all in a room on their phones like this and taking selfies, and you're like, that's not a house party. Wait until some dog gets put in the microwave. That's a house party. Like, you know,
it's a spitting image of the apartment from Taken as well.
Yeah,
the one that like you can see the girl like across. It's like that big. You could see somebody get nabbed at the other side, and they're always like sliding
feet
across
under the bed.
They're always like sliding across shit too. Like, and that's mental. But you know what? Hey, fair play to them. If they asked me to come on their podcast, I probably would too. But it's your boy.
Oh no, like listen. You come on. You're like, listen, guys. We're like,
fire, brother. Start spitting Post Malone rhymes or the fuck on. Started listening to Young Gravy. I think that's like the closest modern music I've started listening to.
Young Gravy.
Young Gravy's class.
That's hectic. I know of Young Gravy, but like I've never like sat down and been like, I'm gonna listen to some Young Gravy. Like
the fiance Aileen, she's been listening to him a while out, and I can hear it in the background. So when we're getting ready to go out on a night out, I heard it, and it's so catchy. There's a new one called like Oops, and like it keeps going like Oopsie Daisy, and I like was out the town the other night, and I just kept doing it every time somebody was talking. I just went Oops, and I seen that that's a thing too on another podcast. Your boy Chris D'Elia or something. He keeps saying like Oops. Oopsie Daisy when he gets like interrupted, so it's so catchy. I keep like I was pure like humming it now up in the car too. It's a belter.
It's one of those things where it's just, you ever get like whenever you're drunk on a night out or whatever, and everyone just develops the same random tick. Like everyone just like, you know, when you're like every now and then you'll just go oops. Like we always find something that's like really like neat, like a TikTok or something, and the entire night we'll just say that the whole way through. It was like with Jack's the worst for it. Like whenever you're out in a night out, warm with Jack.
Dude.
Yeah, like that's the new one.
Yeah, dude.
Every time, like you're just doing anything, you'll be having a conversation with him, and he'll just go, "God, dude, they didn't believe in us," and you're like, he does it every time. What was the last one he always used to do? That's not ridiculous. Just everything you would say, it would be some like TikTok thing. And again, I think that's why they call it TikTok, because you get a fucking tick from it. But
TikTok, motherfucker.
There's a bit in that somewhere. But
that is man develop it. We were on Dirty Onion last time. We kept doing an impression of RTD2 from Revenge of the Sith. And like I got sent the video. The impression was shit. But no, I have a friend from Strabandon, and he I remember when me and him started hanging about. He kept doing that. Fallout 3.
Yeah,
the game Fallout 3. They kept it about Gary, and he would do that, and I never played the game, and like he actually like bullied me into like playing the game because he kept doing that thing, and I was always in tears laughing because Gary. And our friend too started using like really old American like 80s like every time he's like feet, so he's like, my dogs are barking, so we like kept repeating that all day yesterday too. Like, my dogs.
Want a knuckle sandwich?
You want a knuckle sandwich, buddy?
Buster.
Guy.
What music do you listen to then? You're a hard man to nail down with that, because I'm like picturing like very like the Ramones, and then you're like Young Gravy. I'm like, what the fuck? That's so niche.
Big fan of Nicki Minaj. No, I like typical white boy stuff like Kings Leon, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Killers. Big fan of Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
All black.
Shocker. I was like,
Johnny Cash, big fan of Hammond and all that sort of stuff. Highwayman. But my music, like I said, Limelight is my like Spotify. It's just like my Spotify playlist is like somebody with Tourette's. It's just like screaming out different fucking. Yeah, I could be listening like Andre Bocelli.
that's the same with fucking Pete Giffen. We were talking about it. We were going to play football a few weeks ago, and we were in the car with him. And he turns on the play, like he just hit Spotify, and on the way up it was just all like smicked out like 90s like fucking techno.
Rhythm is a dance.
Yeah, literally it was like Alice DJ and all, and we were like, what the fuck is going on here? And then on the way back it was like jumping from like Lionel Richie to like ska music to like fucking like it was so niche to like Australian punk to like fucking
Australian punk. Who would even be Australian punk?
That's what I mean. I was like, what? It was kind of fire to be fair, but like it was
fire. You're like me, boys on TikTok.
It was kind of fire.
It's kind of
like,
yeah. Fucking
throwing up gang signs. They're all from fucking BT9. But
Pete. Yeah, I think Pete would have probably the same sort of vibe.
Yeah.
My mom was big. She's not dead. My mom's big raver. She loves rave music.
Oh really? Yeah.
She like because it's all like 90s like Scooter and Scooter and Faithless like tights with my teeth that sort of stuff.
Jumping all over the world. Yeah.
Jumping all over the world, man. Fucking logical songs, class.
My mum would scare the fuck out of you with my music with her music taste. She listens to like really deep heavy rap. Like my mum listens to like you just met her there like you know you wouldn't think she like
no just give me a coffee Batman cup.
It's my cup. Cup's cheating on me. And you know when you have like a specific cup in your house. JK, mine's like a Harry Potter one I use.
Probably says like Dobby is a free elf or something.
Coffee is a free elf, but no, it's just a wee like maroon one with like the Gryffindor sign on it. But anyway. Just moving on. What was I fucking talking about there?
Chatting about your ma being a...
Oh yes, my mum listens to like Tac 9 and stuff. I don't. You probably that's very niche.
What is that? Is that like people that like in 5 years later like dead? Is that like them sort of boys? Because like anytime I see them sort of rappers, like they're always like not Post Malone, but that collabs with like Hammond, Action Bronson.
That's everyone you listen to.
Because you just see them, they end up like passing away. And
that's like the guy behind you there, Mac Miller. He's one that was.
That's right.
He died of a fentanyl overdose like 6 years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago.
Fentanyl.
Yeah, I have a whole like set on fentanyl, but. Yeah, keep them jokes out. This is a lit set, man. But yeah, it's weird. My mum listens to this real like deep, heavy stuff, and there's a song, one of her favorite songs to put on when she's drinking. It's called "Psycho Bitch" by Tac 9 and Hobson, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just like upstairs, like in my room, and like my mum's like down, just blasting it on Friday night, and it's like such a big like I remember watching the video of how the song was made. I used to just get into music like that. And they got like a trash can and a baseball bat, and for the snare, just the fucking dum da da da. It was just beating the fuck out of it, and I was like, that's some Slipknot shit. Like that's unreal.
The music video for Slipknots was like a fucking short horror film.
Yeah,
I was always scared of them, but like your ma, I get a vibe off her. Kind of like my man, if you looked at them, you'd be just like, oh, you listen to like Steps.
Yeah.
Like, like Steps and stuff like that there. That's so funny though when you hear somebody, like when you walk past me, you don't know what they're listening to, and like you walk past and you can hear like screaming.
Would you imagine someone stopped you? Have you ever seen them TikToks where the people go, sorry sir, what are you listening to? Like what's the most random thing you could give an answer? Like
probably like
Riley Reid sex noises.
Baby kicks, you just don't know. No. I love that song growing up. Even the music video. That there.
What are you listening to? The biography of Motley Crue.
Wait, his name White Noise. Like the hustle and bustle of Belfast.
Just tease. What are you listening to? Your own biography. You just read out like their own like personal details to them.
My last victim's last words.
Way
to go dark that one there, but
I know this is what it's all about. Jeez. To be fair, this has been quite tame. Usually I'll drag some mod shit out of you. I got Sean McAlevey on a few weeks ago, and Sean's the most vanilla dude I've ever met in my life. Like, and he was I had him talking about wanking and shitting and everything, and
he said that to me when we in Forest. I was like, how'd you get on at Justin Freeburn? He's like, yeah man, he was talking about a lot of wanking and
that's a good impression as well.
he's a quick fucker. Like he's always like jumpy.
Yeah,
like, he's civil being.
That's what I was like, because like, well, like the ones that I don't expect it from, I will be like
fishing rods.
I was like, Sean, so what's your favorite way to wank? What's like,
Sean's like
That's one
missionary.
With my eyes closed.
Up and down. Up and down.
But yeah, like, I had another question here and see what the crack is. What's a childhood memory that you'll never forget, good or bad? Is there anything that ever just pops into your head whenever you're like just thinking about like child, or what, something that just lives rent free in your head? I have an example in my head straight away, and it's a bad one.
There's two, and I understand that people come on a podcast and talk about stuff and try and make it sound very, very dramatic and very unreal.
If this is going to get
These
too
are
deep.
too real. These are very real.
Is
Both my sister was both present for. Don't get any ideas.
That's what I was like. I was like, is this where it's getting weird?
She doesn't live far from me. She can kill me. But,
sorry, just for 2 seconds. Just my last night I was having a conversation with my girlfriend, and she was like, "Are you close with like your sister?" And I was like she's like 17, so not really. And she turned around and goes like, "I found out the other day how my brother lost his virginity," and I was like, "You came close to the
what
line."
a segue.
I was like, "You came close to the line." That's like you nearly had me just. I'm out, But anyway, sorry, what were you saying? It's so.
The sister was involved for both. She was it happened to her in one, and she's older than me. She actually is turning 31 on Tuesday. So
yeah.
Happy birthday. She
probably be out then. So
we went down on holiday with a family Lotus down to, I think it was Enniscrone, and we stayed out in this big house in Lotus and one day sister had braces at the time. And I thought it'd be a good idea to take her tennis racket and go towards the front door, to leave and play with the tennis racket. She got in the way, but she got in between me and the racket and kept swinging at it, and like actually hit her right in the teeth.
Right.
With the racket. I instantly dropped the racket, sprinted in between my mum and dad's room, and when you do that, we like sort of hyper, like, and you're like, it's gonna kill me, and like open the door, slam, like fucking jumping over hurdles to get away, and I could just hear his sister going, "You're dead," and like sprint after me. But I remember just like everybody, and I remember my dad like proper just offered me out like a woman, like what do you call it?
Your dad. She was like scared at the front for through hands.
No, my dad just he like sort of like a sacrifice. He's like, well, pay for what you did, and like just sort of moved out of the way. But that was the one thing that I understand, like, because it was so like brutal, and like I don't know if it was like a Dahmer moment in my head. Right? Like, that was your villain origin story. No, it's just fucking try to go what do you call him? Your tennis player on her, but Andy Murray, but
Serena Williams.
Love it. But the other one then was this is what I mean when I say hand on heart, telling the truth. There's no lies here. Where I used to live, we had this like there's a shop, then there's a transforming and big electrical things in a box. Was there, and there's a lot of stray cats always run around. Right. But there was a house that looked after stray cats, so obviously they looked after this boy. Yeah. And I must have been about 5 or 6. My mum only found out about this 2 days ago. And
it's fresh in your brain then.
Brother and sister and a little community was there, like a little ones our age out messing about a ball. But the cat came my way, and they were all, "I can pick up the cat," and I grabbed the tail. And I don't know if you have like people that, like love cats. It's probably gonna listen to this because I don't mind cats. I don't mind them at all. I'm more of a dog person, but this is not why it happened. I wouldn't say that after this. It's not why it happened.
I would finish the story first.
I love all creatures. But
man said I lifted it by the tail. Anyway, if I'm more of a dog person.
Woof. But no, I was always so easily like talked into doing things. So I like grabbed the cat by the tail. They were like, "Go swing it."
They goes grab the cat, and you already had it. By the tail.
What next? But no, I started like swinging it. I don't know if you've ever swung a cat before.
I can't say I have. No.
It's like it's very easy to do. Especially when you're younger, but I was swinging it anyway, and then the neighbour, I think it wasn't the one that owned it, but it was the one that cared for it, and they were like, "Let the cat go, Oisín," and obviously I just went like, let that grab go like that, while mid swing, and I don't even know if the thing landed where it landed where, but it was okay, didn't die. I didn't kill a cat. I actually came on to a podcast down there to like out myself as like animal cruelty.
This is like, whenever you go to AA,
oh, Jesus
and they're like,
Christ.
and I found myself in a pool of my own vomit.
There I was in a load of kitty blood.
A little kitty litter.
But no, that's
fucking hectic.
Aye, right place for it. But no, that was like the only thing that I could remember I ever did that I was kind of like,
Yeah.
But that not like got it like that.
Something that you've been like remembered from a childhood that you're like, what the fuck did I do? What was I thinking? Yeah.
But I was always easily talked on things like P7s. I was like P2. They were like, I'll go. I dare you to punch the dinner lady. And dinner lady always knew the ones that like supervise out in the playground. I go punch dinner lady. And like I was like, what? And they were like falling like wandering. And I just remember like letting out that air, just
Yeah.
And then I had to like hold her hand the rest like the playground time. We were like, and my brother was like P7 at the time, so he's like, what'd you do? Punch dinner lady. And then like the principal at the time had bigger eyebrows than I do, and he was like proper curly. And I remember him like just fucking grilling me in like the front of the classroom. I was showed up.
You tried to spark out one of the fucking.
Jeez, I know, like proper like try to go for the champion belt like when in second year. But I mean, I was always easily like talked into doing stuff like that there.
Yeah.
But never like burned anything. So.
No, I was always the like. I did things off my own accord. Like I was wee shit that was like I remember one time there was a guy, I think you might know him, but from years ago he was in my class. I think his big brother might have been in your class. I'll not say his name. I'll tell you after. But we were in the bathroom of the school, and he like said something to me, like he was like slagging me, and everyone laughed, and I went right, and everyone else left, and he was washing his hands in the sink after a piss, and it was like P7, and I just fucking I debagged him, and he was just standing there, and his cock was out and all, and his bare ass, and he was like still with like soap all over his hands, so he couldn't like do anything. Next thing you know, our P7 teacher walks in and goes, what the fuck's going on in here? And I was like standing there just next to him with his fucking cock out, and I was like, yeah. There was a lot. This is weird as well. There was another one where I wrote "I'm gay" on my hand. I was just like immature humor. I wrote "I'm gay," and I used to go, "What's that say to people?" And they would go, "I'm gay," and I'd be like, dickhead, fucking, you're gay, no. And then like I remember the principal. It was all after school detention or whatever it was, and he was like sitting across from me. You remember our primary school principal? Dickhead, fuck him. He always used to talk to you about how he was a rugby player and tried to intimidate you like that, and you'd be like, "Fuck up, like you're 5'3". But
he broke one of the students' arms.
Yeah,
Jesus.
He
Tackled
during
him?
rugby. He fucking like tackled one of the
Like a
students.
big Boris Johnson one where he just fell through a wave.
It literally was like that.
Oh, sorry.
But he like sat down across from me, and he like hit me with a fucking Dwayne the Rock Johnson eyebrow like that, and he was like, "Do you know what gay means?" And I turned around and he goes, "Well, a lot of the time back in the day, it used to mean that you were happy." And he turned around and he was raging at me. He was like, "Yeah, but do you know what it means?" And I was like, "It's somewhat sexuality." And he was like raging at me because I was like, I'm acting stupid, but I'm not retarded here. Like I'm gonna, I know what it means. But I was like, "It's your sexuality." But then when he goes, do you know what it means?" I was like, "Well, back in the day, it used to mean that you were happy." Because someone would say that, "Oh, you're gay," like, or I'm gay, like, and I was like fucking, I walked out of there like fucking James Bond, like a fucking grenade explosion. And then I came walking back into class like, and like someone walks out during a Royal Rumble and wrestling. I was like, I came back and I was like, fucking. But yeah, the main one that like the most bad memory I have was you just reminded me because you were talking about being a wee shit when you were younger, and I was like,
I was actually pretty nice, but like I was just persuaded into doing shit. That was kind of that.
I was the same. I was like a nice kid, but like I just every now and then I would get these intrusive thoughts, and they would win every time. Like, but there was one time we were like in Cyprus as a kid, and my mum was holding my hand at the beach, and there was like waves coming, but we were just like ankle deep, and then like a bigger wave came when she like turned away, and I just got tugged out of her hand, and I remember floating about in the water, like under the water, just fucking, because the like tide had sort of
start of Inception.
Yeah, like literally, the like current had like grabbed me, and I was just like under the water, and I remember just like floating through it. And my mum said that she just like felt me disappear out of her hand, and all she could see was my wee bucket hat in the ground, and like it was fucking so straight. She was screaming all over the beach and all. My dad used to be one of these sea swimmer cunts. He used to go way deep out into like the fucking, like whenever you're at the beach, people go, "Oh, there's a bad current out there, don't swim out there." My dad was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll go past it." And
he's out like a paddleboard.
Yeah, I swear to God. And you're like, what the fuck? And he was like out swimming like miles out, and my mum was just like screaming at the beach like I was gone, and she just said she like looked over, and I was just walking back into like onto the beach, just soaking. But my main memory of it was just floating about the water like for like 4 minutes, just like.
It's scary. We always go down to Attic Island now every summer with her and her family, and it's class. But see, when you get that like riptide, when you get that there, that you always go out and you're like bragging, and they would start to talk to me because obviously we're getting married now, so her family would talk to me like I'm one of their own children,
Yeah, I get
and
you.
it's kind of like, don't go any further, Oisín. And I'm like, fucking alright, like you're like paddling, like I'm
Fucking
alright.
23, fuck up. I'll do what I want.
Fucking floating, let me float, and then next thing you know, like that one big wave would just like humble you, but alright, I'll be back now. Oh, just start like paddling
Or
again.
like, no, you're all right. No, you're right. You're right. But
No.
the I don't know. The
Water can humble you very quickly.
Oh, can I?
Humble you very
The
quickly.
water is the chicken box of life. Like
You can't play chicken way the Atlantic.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't be like, you're gonna move before I move.
Where was it that like our mates Liam and Adron tried to swim out and they got stuck into the current and you had to walk out and grab them. See
Newcastle?
yeah, Chico's real life Aquaman.
Aye.
I'm pretty sure he just walked here from Portugal. Right, Chico's Portuguese. No, might not think.
I was in Albufeira. It doesn't. You ever in Albufeira?
Yeah.
You from there?
No,
He's from
Lisbon.
Lisbon.
Lisbon. I actually wanted to go see the Gypsy Kings in Lisbon. I
Yeah.
wanted to, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Like telling you stuff I want to do. I want to go to America sometime too.
Just London. I want to be a billionaire. So
sometimes I
fucking
dream.
bad.
No,
But-
Portugal's class. I love
Yeah.
that place.
I know, Liam. Oh no, Liam's in Barcelona at the minute. But Chico has like sounds so gay. Like, but Chico has like thighs on him like a fucking rhino. Like,
Oh.
and they got stuck out in the current. And they were like, "Oh, we can't get back in. We can't get." And Chico just walked out and like grabbed him
Like a
and like
Terminator.
helped him back in.
Aye. That's you're like a. You should be in a Marvel film.
I
You
swear
know,
to God,
probably was a Marvel
Chico
film.
Man.
Probably pitch that. If Disney Plus would probably like do a short for you as well.
I
So
know. Probably be
Yeah.
better than anything they're putting out at the minute. For fuck's sake.
they that's a we watched that new Hocus Pocus too, and the whole time you're just sitting there like that. I used to hate going to see a film in the cinema with my family because it was always like a James Bond film, and you know at the end where it's like they do the whole like the 007 stuff, and I'm really cringy at smiling. So if I start smiling, I feel like somebody's looking at me and they're like, "Why are you smiling?" And you're like, "Oh, it was a happy ending," and it's a happy ending.
It's a happy end.
Bond, we will see Bond again. And I remember, I don't know if you remember this because I thought I dreamt it, but do you remember at the end of like a film, people would clap?
Yeah, that happened
People
recently.
clap.
I
Guarantee it was Spider-Man No Way Home.
fuck off. Literally,
Guarantee it was.
No,
That's fucking lethal.
but it was
Tobey Maguire?
it literally was the they re-released it into the cinema like
That's
a
right.
director's cut,
That's right.
and me and my girlfriend went to see it a few weeks ago, and it was like National Cinema Day or something, and we were just in it, and it was like fuck, it came out like 6 months before this as well, so it's like if you hadn't seen it by then, like fuck up, like, you know.
That's just people like because of the whole box office thing with COVID and stuff. The whole thing that happened with Black Widow. They're milking anything to get it back
Yeah.
on the screen. And to be honest with
Exactly.
you, class film, I wouldn't go see it again.
Yeah,
But my whole point there, like cringy, is like I remember like though at the end of each film, they would like get up and start like clapping,
yeah,
and you'd be like sitting there, you'd be like, you know, it had me to at mass. I go to mass too. It's like see when
you're trying not to smile, but your cheeks won't let you. They just
the weirdest thing about I don't know,
like a Joker victim.
you're Catholic,
Yeah.
Chico, Portuguese,
Yeah.
Yeah. Roman Catholic.
Roman.
Roman. Yeah.
It's Portuguese Catholic. Sorry.
But in Catholics down in primary school in Derry, we did a thing called the Passion Play. You ever do that up here?
See, when you say that, I pictured like you just like reenacting the Passion by Mel Gibson. Is that what it is?
Pretty much.
Fuck off.
And you're in P6. Let me explain this because this is funny because me and her
It's the most anti-Semitic thing ever.
we talked about it recently because and this happens the theater as the chapel.
Yeah.
So primary 6 people's like method acting. They play Jesus and like Mary and
Method
Judas. All the big roles are
Like,
going.
how'd you get them fucking nails in your hand? Mate?
It's not nails. It's like rope tied
Oh,
around like we
yeah.
list parts. Just put your hands on there, Sean, and you
Yeah.
like have your hands on. But I was shouted at that probably still am, but I was playing like a Roman soldier. So like you'd have the person playing Jesus, but we thought it was nuts. At the time, it's just a thing.
Calling Jesus a Fenian bastard. And all that.
P6, you're going through the auditions, right? Sing the song and begs here, Jesus, Jesus, what are you thinking today? And everybody joins in. And then the very end, then they actually reenact the part where pilots calling out the numbers. They have them flogged.
Yeah.
So you'll have a P6 shout, like P6 is like 8 or 9, a 9-year-old. They're dressed up in all the Roman Empire gear, and they have Jesus like holding on to like the plank of wood, getting tied up, and there's this big class soundtrack they used for it. It was like. It's like 1, 2, 2, 2, 2,
Right, of Valkyries or
and
something.
people's like whopping them on each number. It's like 2, 3, 25, and it's class. Whoever's singing it was lethal. Then you have the getting crucified. But could you imagine if you stepped away from the Catholic Church for a while? You're like had to go find yourself, and you were coming back. This is a bad. I'm gonna use it someday. But you're like coming back, and they're like, I need to find Jesus again. And you like come into this chapel, like you think nobody's in there, like 7 o'clock on a school night, and you walk in and see a little Wayne's like children of the corn, and like fucking battering each other. And then at the very end, it got really cheesy because it like obviously he rutheth, and he
was riffing.
So at the very end, us Roman soldiers are all like still having to like stand there trying not to smile because you're like looking across from somebody in your family, like, pick it up. And then like it was
you look over and your mate's like,
he's like he's doing emphasis. It was fucking tricky, but no, I think it's so funny. Some things that like still happen. Yeah. But I love it. It's a masterpiece. Should get down. The next show's on Easter time, I think it is.
I'll be down on fucking on Eventbrite tomorrow.
It's gonna be get it on Shine.
I know, it absolutely fucking like we used to do like primary schools. I'm writing a bit about this at the minute about how I've done blackface 3 times in my life and not once was it my decision. So basically the first time was whenever they did World Book Day in school, but it was held in Brownlow, and like I was in primary school, and I remember being like, oh, who will I like dress up as for World Book Day? It was meant to be whoever was like, it was meant to be someone from a different country, so like someone you love from a different country. And my mum was all, sure you love Ronaldinho? I was like, I do. And she was all, we'll dress you up as Ronaldinho. She put like fake dreadlocks on me.
It's class.
And painted my face black. And I was wearing a Brazil kit. And there's photos of me as like a like 8 or 9-year-old just like rumbling about in a fucking blackface.
That's hilarious.
And the bandana with like the fucking dreadlocks hanging out the back. I look like Predator. It was someone a Predator wouldn't want.
If you ever do like the SST arena, that should be like your poster for like doing it. It's just like you doing like kick-ups. It's like Ronaldinho. It's like FIFA Street, but it's like outside your gate.
It was so grim. And then the second time, I can't remember what the third time was, but I've wrote it down somewhere. But the second time was in like the primary school play, like you know the nativity of like Jesus being born, and it's wild that you actually did like the death of Jesus.
This
and
is hilarious.
We did the birth, but he did like the fucking.
We did the full sequel. We did we do that in like P1. That's for the amateur actors. Yeah. It's really when P7 or P6, sorry, when people go like full like De Niro and like start like coming in with like actual like whips and being like, no, fucking help me,
fucking Al Pacino.
Your teacher goes from teaching fucking RE to teaching so Stella Adler like an acting school.
But like the next time was basically me. They did the nativity, but they were like, we'll put a twist on it. We'll do it like real fucking like meta. They were like, we'll do a play about a school who are running a play that's a nativity, and so I play. It was basically the whole play was meant to be like people were auditioning to play like the baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph and all. Like that's what it was, so meta. Like it was weird.
Pretty unique.
I was like, fucking fair play. I'm like,
that's a good idea.
You think that until they've got fucking like 10-year-olds up in blackface, so that, and they had me like this is the thing. They were like, your audition had to be like whatever you were just good at the time, and mine was me rapping on stage, and I rapped B.O.B. Airplanes, and I was in full blackface with a fucking like dressed as like a gangster. I have it on DVD somewhere. I'm gonna find it.
Hilarious.
I don't give a fuck. People find out. I don't give a fuck if people find out in black. But again, I was just like, they were all right. You can either rap Dizzy Rascal or B.O.B. Airplanes, and I was like, give me your. I was like, whose Spotify list is this? Oh. And I remember it was our P5 teacher. Do you remember one? Fat ass. And
shout out.
Shout
with a P.
And she like I remember them just put me on stage, and I had like a no fear cap on, like like put up like the way a smack does. And like I was wearing a big chain and all, like baggy clothes, and I was up there like, I could use a dream over Genie, or just in full blackface, and it was metal. And I like again.
Cancelled.
Yeah, fuck 'em. And cancel the school for fuck's sake.
Animal cruelty and racism.
Whole fucking life story,
Jesus Christ,
man. But yeah, no, I thought that was fucking hilarious. Like whenever I watched it back, and I was like, oh, they painted me black. Like, like
Held you down and charcoaled you up. Fucking shoe polish.
It wasn't even like
You look like a chimney sweeper.
If they were just doing it because they were like, oh, we're videoing it and there's lights on you, we don't want you looking too pasty, they could have got some foundation or something. It was full brown paint, like, you know, like brown, like fucking like effects makeup paint, and it was like full on, like, you know, like chocolate, like
full Cadbury.
It was, what foundation? What colour foundation is that? Galaxy.
I remember it wasn't that long ago too. Letterkenny, whatever the.
I always forget that's like out your direction. When I think of like Galway and like, or not Galway, fucking where's Donegal? I'm like, that's fucking miles away, but that's like.
No, Derry's like smack bang in the middle. Like you can go anywhere.
Yeah,
like
it's classic.
It's like Buncrana, Maval, Muff, all them sort of stuff, and Letterkenny. But
Muff.
Letterkenny had a musical society or something, and they were getting shamed or something online because they were doing High School Musical. And obviously Letterkenny's like
Blackface musical.
Everybody was like, not blackface. I didn't actually see it then, but I remember like somebody like called it out and was like, "Oh, Letterkenny's doing a musical." But have they seen the cast of High School Musical? They don't have a lot of them there. And like that was an American, and then they actually didn't realize that Letterkenny actually really did like go out, like they actually. I think the thing was an actual success.
Yeah.
But it just shows you like how quick people just assume it, and it's actually backhand racism from America because they're, but all the people in Ireland's white, and then like they actually looked at the play and like, all right, they're not all white.
It's weird. Like even like Dublin is very diverse.
Dublin's London. I don't care what anybody says. I always say this. I like Ireland, but I think it's such a leap to call that like the capital of Ireland. And you go down there, it's very like it's great. It's an open place. Everybody's there. But when you're in Dublin, anytime, and it's the same with London. Anytime you speak to people, you're just like this doesn't feel like a capital. It feels like such this is like Europe, and it's nice. I like that, but it's just when you're down in Dublin too, I feel like their whole
Cork should be.
Her whole vibe is just like it's not even Ireland kind of. It's more like just tourism. That's kind of it.
Dublin feels more like, again, because even I gigged in Dublin about a month ago, and not one Irish person was in the crowd.
No,
it was like, and again, I appreciate it got rid of my imposter syndrome a wee bit, because I was like up there and I was like, I'm making people laugh who aren't from Belfast, and that's all you kind of want, you know.
You're nearly going down and being like, oh, they know I'm not from here. And then you're like in a crowd to be like somebody from like America. You're in a crowd, somebody maybe in Asia, Middle East. You have all these like different communities in there, and it's nice because I got that when I came to Belfast to do like pavilion. I went in and I was like, oh, you're not all from Derry.
I know that's the thing. Like whenever you go to like the pavilion, you expect to go there, and you're like, it's going to be all the Belfast ones. You go down, there's like 3 from Belfast. Even whenever you're performing, you'll be like, oh, is anyone from Belfast? And like 2 people put their hand up. A few weeks ago, I did the pav, and I was like, is anyone from Belfast? One guy in the front put his hand up, and I was like, where are the rest of you all from? Everyone's like, Newry and all. And I was like, what the fuck is going on in this place?
I never even knew half what places. Like when I did the first one, I thought 3 people in Northern Ireland did comedy, and I
thought it was all just Colin Gaddis, Shane
Todd,
Mickey
not
Bartlett.
even because it's even Mickey. I remember when I started a new job after I did the first comedy one. I just assumed it was like all old people just did not make it in comedy.
Yeah.
And then whenever I worked in this place, he's like, oh, do you ever listen to Colin Gaddis? And I was all. Sounds the boy from like the I Am Fighter videos because I just did not have any. I didn't know anybody did comedy as much as they did. He's like, no, he has a podcast channel. But I listened and I was in fucking tears from the get go, just on about like manscaping. I'll shave your pipe. That's what fuck's sake. I loved hearing all that there, and then I knew that. Then as it went on, it was like, oh, so Gaddis. Oh, there seems to be like levels here. So it's like Gaddis, Bartlett, Todd, and then McCanny.
There's tiers to it. Yeah,
there is, because if you could just keep going down,
I'd say we're about 4 down at the minute. Like we're on the one before we get known. I think there's like again, there's like the level of there's the open, right, we'll start from the bottom. I think there's open micers, like just straight up, like, you know, the hopeless ones, the ones who, you know, will do 10 gigs in a row without getting a single laugh.
Scary.
Yeah, that like you know. Then
I'm saying that's scary. Like I fucking like I get a laugh and stand ovation every time. It's noticeable. You see it though.
Yeah, you know, you do see the ones where you're like, right, that's the 6th time I've seen you and you haven't got a single laugh, you know, and you're like, mate, what? And I'm not talking shit about anyone specifically. I'm just categorizing people into like that thing. I think it's like that. Then the next level is like the open micer who is like also getting paid for specific gigs.
I think it's an effort.
Yeah,
Effort's always
exactly.
thing. People seem to think too. Oh, he's very clever, man. He did that on the spot.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
He's had
sitting
that
in
bit
the
in his head
audience.
for months.
And people always seem to think too that when you're on the stage, you can hold the mic and you can like look for somebody to target.
Yeah,
but
no, they're sitting
it's
looking
like
for.
in a ghillie suit when before they go up, they're like looking at people in the crowd. That happened
like
to me yesterday.
Yeah, that guy looked like Michael Fassbender.
I came on and I was like legit look like him, and then the people in the corner, all different shapes, sizes, hairstyles, colours, and I was like, oh, they all look like they do slam poetry. And then everybody was like, oh, and then at the very end I got that vibe too, like, how did you man? And I was like, I was staring at you like the full time.
Yeah.
You're just glaring at people. And
you're just watching the entire front row.
You're a bit creepy, like, kind of, but like, it is, and that's what I mean by the effort. Sometimes people go up and then they're like shocked down, and I'm talking like an absolute practitioner of it. I'm only new to it, but in my head when I see people going up and they do that thing where they go up and start talking and then they're like stunned why they didn't get a bit of a giggle at it.
Yeah,
like, it's because you sound like you're way too cocky about getting a laugh at it.
I hate whenever people do that with the mic. They take the mic lead, and they like whenever they try to hit a punchline, they'll stop and they'll like. I seen you do it yesterday, but you were doing it just to move the mic lead.
I got stuck.
Stuck. I'm not, so don't think I'm talking about you. I just mean I see people who will take the mic lead, and every time they say a punchline, they'll move the mic lead and wait on the laugh.
Or do this here. It's like and then I was like, no, I'll have the red one. Fuck, nobody laughed. Then you're like, I was just thirsty, I swear.
Yeah, I think you have to have had a set route for like fucking months before you're able to take a sip during it, you know.
Well, that goes back to what I said earlier too about the whole script thing, and sometimes you do need a script, because if you go up and you're like, I get caught in a rant. I know you're saying, and I appreciate you're saying about the talking to the crowd's good, but sometimes they'll talk back too much. Rachel, first time I seen her, Rachel McPeak, McPeak seen me, and that was the first time I seen her, and I did a question into the audience, and somebody from the other end of the bar in Bennington's wasn't even in the audience, came the whole way over. I was like, no, I'm on over, I can't hear you. I thought that was a good idea, and then they came over and just wouldn't be quiet, and then she kept like getting in the way. Pete Giffen watched it from like a live stream, and the next day I woke up and it was like 2 words and like said your woman's name, and I was like, I have 2 more words, absolutely agent or something like that there. But that's the trouble of like speaking too much, and that's when you need structured. That's why I just use the bullet points now. Yeah. Exactly. If I hit these topics, and if they don't get a laugh, I'll just move on to the next one.
Exactly.
Shit happens.
Sometimes that just works better for people. You know what I mean? That's what I do as well, and that's how I like write on stage. Like I'll like think of a bit that I'm like, and then I'll think of a few. Like I'll think of like the title of the bit, and then a few things that are funny in the bit, and then I just rant it out on stage and hope for the best. Like remember on Thursday, I got lost in my set, and I was like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about here. So there was a wee Scottish woman in the crowd, and I just started talking shit to her, and she gave me more crack out of it.
Exactly.
And then whenever I got halfway through talking to her, I was like, oh fuck, I can't just keep talking to her the rest of the set. I goes, are you Catholic or Protestant? And then I like use that as a segue to go into my next bit. You can strike gold, and then you can just hit shit with the crowd, and it works. But no, I do think I appreciate it when people talk more to the audience, because I know that the audience is always like, oh, I don't want to sit at the front, because then people at the front get slacked. That's what they are. Like a lot of people who go to stand-up shows and don't want to sit in the front don't realize is
shit themselves.
Yeah, like a comedian will only talk to you if they have a segue for a bit. You know, they won't talk to you because they're like, oh, you're a dickhead, fuck you, I ain't gonna slag you, unless it's like Frankie Boyle, years. You know? Unless it's like William Thompson. I've seen William just go up and just go, you look like a drug dealer, this is why you're a cunt, right? And, that's like, and then like just go, anyway, I have a different bit to that, you know.
You're leaving being like, how did he know all that? You're like, that's the spark on.
I took my girlfriend on a date one time to Lavery's. Fucking that's a sexy time away, isn't it? But it was just because it was like, it's Wednesday, I have nothing else to do, so it was like
you got a good show there too.
Yeah, it was Dave Elliott was on, and William was MCing, and obviously I know William, and he turns around to me and he goes, I know you, and I was all fuck off. And he turned around and he was like, I was like, yeah, and he goes, how do I know you? And he goes, through comedy. And he goes, right. He was like, you mustn't be that good, and just walked. And I was like, you fucking dickhead. I was like, I fucking spoke to you like 300 times.
That's always a weird.
It's the same thing, you know. Even like your mates can slag you for some things that if someone else slagged you, you know, and just because he's kind of like semi-famous, you feel like, because you know so much about these people through podcasts and stuff, I think like you forget that they also don't know a lot of people, you know. You might feel like you know that. I'm not just saying you, I mean I'm talking about myself.
No, exactly. I know what you mean.
Like you might like be like whenever I met Mickey for the first time, I slagged him for something he said in the podcast, and he was like, "How the fuck do you know that?" And I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, like us."
He probably forgets he even says it.
Yeah, that's it's the same thing for this. I had someone come up to me the other week and mention something that was in one of the clips. They were like, "Oh," and I was like, "What? I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
You're like, I know your fist. I don't know what your name is. No, I did the brickwork on Thursday, and then
how'd that go? That looked cross.
It was good crack. It's, you know, when somebody in the audience says something like throws you off. There was one of them sort of moments.
Yeah.
I do about Patrick Pio.
Yeah, I heard it. Yes.
But the boy in the audience was like, "Oh, I have the scars on my hand that Pio had. My mom's gonna kill me if she sees this, and I don't know the name of it. Scalp. I'm not gonna guess it wrong. Basically, you bear the same wounds as like Christ, and it's a thing that's what the myths cover. But
right.
he said it, and I was like, "Why did you say that?" He's like, "I have that," and I was all, "What do you want me to do with that?" I was like, and then I even looked at Peter Davidson in the back. I was like, I don't know what to do. And apparently he was just like chatting all night, but whatever.
Yeah.
But see, it was good. It was a good gig, and Peter runs it. It's it's upstairs brickwork. Derry, last Thursday each month, or first Thursday each month. Jesus.
Yet to get a response from Peter.
But see, afterwards they were all going to Bennigan's, and I was like, I know bother, but I stayed for a pint downstairs and listened to a bit of music, and then I walked down. Oktoberfest on too. But Mickey Bartlett, Kieran Bartlett was doing that. So I was like, you know what, I'll chance my arm. I'll go and order a £10 pint, and I went out seeing this like herd of
weight or money.
May as well been. No, it had this like herd of like pubescent fucking 16-year-old wee boys all around. Oh, Maggie, all that sort of stuff. So I went out, got the pint, and then I seen him out sitting there. I was like, oh, that's I'm doing this with McGee. I'll just go over and ask him and tell him about it. And I went over. Here's what you don't know. Last year at the Oktoberfest, me and the girlfriend at the time, now fiance, we went there and had a wee smoke and needed a lighter. And he was on the bench crossing, and he was on me like, you know, go talk to him. And I was like, I've done one comedy gig. What do you want me to do that? And I went over. I was like, can I have a lighter? And he's like, I know bar, gentleman, threw me a lighter. Anyway, nothing happened afterwards. Fast forward now to this Oktoberfest. I go over to him, have the big £10 pipe in my hand, and I see him, and the boys literally just left as soon as I got there, and he did this here. He's all, "Dan, who are you?" And I was all, he's like, were you at this like last year? And I was all, aye. And he was all, did I like give you a fag? So I was like, no, give me a lighter. How do you like remember that there? And he was a gentleman the whole time, like talking, and because he knows like Peter and went to university and all that sort of stuff with him. I was telling him I did the brickwork, and then I was telling about the Ulster University McGee thing, and he was chuffed at that. He was talking about hopefully getting for November, and and then he was like, oh, are you down in Bennigan's after the brickwork? And I was like, aye. And he came down. He was like buying drinks all night, but he has an he's a gentleman. You probably know it yourself. And I know he did the podcast.
He lives quite close here.
What's his address?
I actually do know what, and I only know.
Tell me, if something happened to him, they'd be like, he asked for his address like 3 days ago.
I only know because he basically grew up in the exact same street. Well, I don't know his address where he actually lives now, but I knew the address he grew up in because he grew up like quite close to me. Like we like my granny's house in Lurgan and my whole family like live in that same like 100 yards. And he lived like a few doors down, so I only knew from that, you know. And he went to my school and stuff. So
like I know comedians, the whole thing is memory. Like for you go up and you do your but I like was stunned. I told her the next day, I was like, he knows us.
You know. But funny, he didn't remember me. I met it. There's a shopping centre across the road there, and I met him, and this is very sucking up to Mickey, but again, he's one of the best in the world, like, you know. So I'm like fucking, and he's the most sound cunt ever. So, but I like stopped him in the middle of the shopping centre, and I was like, "Here, man, you're Mike Litteris, aren't you?" he was like, "I am." And I was like, "Can I get a photo with you?" And I was with my ex at the time, and it was like 2018, and I stood in the shopping centre outside where you used to work, and I was like, dressed as a smick and all, and he was like, "That's wild." But I was in the green room at Lavery's a few weeks ago.
I seen that. I was pure raging. I was sitting in the house because I got home from work. And I was like playing GTA or something. Then I was like flicking through Instagram, seeing like 8 people's story being the same, but it's like Lavery's. Justin's in Lavery's too. Just like met some of us at the thing eating these.
Oh no, you're grand.
No, it's fine.
Don't worry.
It's fine.
I thought you all got gigs, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And then
I was lucky enough. Kieran was performing that night. And I was just going down to watch him, and I was just standing at the bar, and Gaddis walked past me, and he goes, "Well, Justin," and I went, "You know me?" He was like,
yep.
And he goes, and I was like, "Well, that was so crack." And then he went and got a drink and came back, and he goes, "The boys are all in the green room. Do you want to come in?" And I was like, you know, I kind of shit a wee bit, and then I was just sitting in the green room like, don't speak too much, don't speak too much. But it was like
you're like staring in a corner, just don't ruin it.
McCann, Mickey, Kieran was there, Jordan Robinson was there, and like the sound engineer and his photographer, and everyone was so sound, and I was like, so I went back the next week, and he invited me back in, and it was like fucking James McCagney and all. Have you ever seen McCagney live?
James McCagney did the one in Delacroix with me and Kieran.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
He's another funny boy.
Yeah, oh, class. I love him to bits. Like, he's so funny. But I'm thinking about getting him in the podcast as well, but it's just getting him down from wherever he is. I know that him and William might be moving in together soon in Belfast. So
be a funny house.
Yeah.
They I think it's so funny the thing we get is because I did the Sunflower, and a lot of people were supposed to do that gig but dropped out. Yeah. Obviously, this is like peak Kevin Hart Belfast time as well, so it's like
that was the time the mic cut out, didn't it? Or like
April. Aye, that's right.
I did the month after.
You were on the one with Kieran Bartlett.
Yeah,
I still haven't seen him live, but like I was on the podcast. And my mouth is watering listening to the Bartlett Kieran one because he used to. I know he doesn't do it anymore, but the what do you call it? The podcast he does, the baskets.
Oh, fucking
no headers, no blasters,
no blasters.
And see when he's eating the baskets, I be in work like coming up to lunchtime, and I can just hear him like crunching on a basket. And I'm like, I love fucking like watching people eat food, listening to it. Maybe I grew up watching Man vs. Food and like diners, drive-ins, and dives. I like watch food videos all the time, but. Anyway, I'm off and around by food. But Geddes did the one on the Sunflower. Yeah. And he was like the surprise headliner. Came on, and I was like at the bar here sitting. I did my gig. I was raging, didn't say because I did okay. Yeah. And he came on anyway from the Kevin Hart one. I was just sitting on like a high stool, and his like leg was doing that thing. And you're like one leg's on the stool, and the other one's like bouncing. And he was out doing it right beside me. I was like, "Do not talk to him. Don't talk to him. Don't ruin it.
See, just wait." I think that the overthinking of that's the worst thing. Because
there was other acts coming up to him, like, and before even at his bat, like people coming up and like, give us and try and shake his hand, like hug him, and all are like comedians doing it. I was like, "You're pathetic." And like, so you're pathetic, as if I know him.
You're like, well, you're like. Piece of shit, fucking just say something.
I'm in the bathroom like talking to them. You could do this. No, I don't want to say anything because like I don't want to do I don't like doing the whole like I said. That's why I fucking was like I need to talk to one of them. Yeah. So I talked to William. I've spoken with Connor Keys and I've spoken with Geddes. Like I said, you're like climbing up the fucking wall of comedy here, but they're all.
They just appreciate it when you're just sounding.
They're fucking
them, you know?
gentlemen, like, and everybody's like pure scared of these comedians. But when you talk to them, and they're actually like more polite than like your granny.
They're just such normal dudes. Like it's so weird. Like whenever. Like Mickey, whenever he doesn't have a mic on him, is just the most normal guy ever. And he's like, he refuses to be funny unless there's a mic on him.
Mickey reminds me of my cousins. It's just like people like a fag and like play FIFA now and again and like go out for a drink. Like he really is sounding. And that night too, we were in Bennigan's, I felt like I was out with like, you know, and then like typical like rom-coms where it's like the nerds out with a super hot model. Yeah. And when me and him was the last people in Bennigan's out of the comedians that was there, and then there was this like wee group of like fucking people from Bennigan's and San Dino's. Yeah. And they were like pure over him, and I was kind of like, this is cool, but I know that like I could leave and this conversation's still going to continue.
Exactly, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think that's just the thing. Like it's getting sound with him. Like the one who I was expecting to be weird with and met, and was the biggest gentleman ever, was the nicest person I've ever met, was Aaron McCann. I thought that was going to be like a weird sort of celebrity moment where, you know, he kind of like whatever, yeah, but he like full on was like, "Well, lad, how's it going now? Like, you good crack and all?" Like, and I was like, he was like, "Hey, you looking well and all?" I was like, this is the nicest guy I've ever spoken to, and like obviously I'm not saying I'm close with any of them, but I just whenever as you know what you like, yeah, it is. I'm like, I've met every one of these.
Shook hands.
The Ryan Cullen, big comedian he's from Belfast, but he performs over in Edinburgh. Right. He's like 15k followers. He's so funny. He headlined Lavery's the other week, and I was in tears on him. Like whenever I'm watching comedy, I'll just like, you know, smile, and then like if I feel like they deserve a big laugh, I'll let out a big laugh, you know. But I was like, I couldn't breathe.
Your cheeks are sore.
Yeah. Like I was like, Jesus. Afterwards,
you have to do that. You have to like push them down.
I was like cracking my neck and all, and then he followed me on Instagram after, and I was like,
chills.
That's all me fucking.
To be fair, me and Aileen literally booked our wedding. This sounds so stupid. We literally like went down and was like, boom, deposit. Yeah. This place we want to, and we got home and we were in the middle like taking a photo of the the parcel at the venue gave us as a gift. It's like, congratulations, and gives you a thing they're rubbing on it. And we're in the middle. Like, I was trying to get me taking photos to put on Instagram. We still haven't done it, so people probably don't know it. I'll try and get that out before you. But we were taking photos of it anyway, and like my like Instagram dropped, and I was like, William Thompson started following you, and I was like, oh fuck, and I straight away.
Like, never made that.
I was like, hang on a second. I had like screenshots in the group chats. I was like, I'm on my way. But no, it's weird that, but.
It is. It's because it's people like you look up to in comedy.
It's so weird because they're not like he's the same age as her.
Yeah.
So like they're like 3 years older than me, and I can look at it and I'm like, I remember at the start I was like, I'm not gonna go down that path like looking up to people. It's like close to the same age. Maybe you have to appreciate how good they are.
Especially William started at 17.
Like I hated seeing people that do. I'm not gonna lie, I hate when people saying comedy. Oh, I love to see people do well. You don't.
I know exactly.
You fucking hate it. You're like, what?
You love to see people do well if you're doing well.
You love to see people do well if they're a nice person. Yeah. And I didn't know any of these people from the get go. You know them from podcasts, and you like them through that. But when you're going to those same rooms, if you get a bad vibe off somebody, there's no point in lying about it. You're never gonna fully appreciate what they do unless they are just like they're making you sore laugh and this, that, and the other. But there is just some people it's just so likable and a lot of people too ask about that, like being like, oh, how do you get I'm saying like they're not asking me because I'm not getting booked for every gig, but like they're saying like, oh, like how do boys keep getting back for these gigs? And you're like, they're fucking likable, and you have these boys too, like bitch and moan about, oh, he likes them but they don't like me, and you're like, I will fucking be likable then, and not. It's that thing that I sound like such a talking like that there, but I mean it.
I get it though. It's not like,
people try to.
It's not ridiculous.
Alright, it's all, but I know you're like asking me questions. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
When did you want to do? It's like such a typical like. So when did you want to do comedy?
What's your villain origin story?
How did you delve into comedy?
I actually because I was always a big fan of it from like fucking 2017.
I was always 2017.
I remember like specifically getting into it that year. Like I remember just being like fighting out about like the actual comedians, you know. And like we did music at the time. I was telling you before, and we were just. I remember Colin Gaddis played one of my songs on his podcast as well. It was back when he had like the white brick wall behind him, and we were sitting in here one day, and I was like, we were just watching his podcast. And next thing you know, he turned around and he was like, "Oh, fucking blah blah blah," messaged me, and he was all, "Let me check it out," and then he goes, "Not too shabby," and I was like. I remember just all of us in the room just jumping about, fucking going mad that like Colin Gaddis had fucking just played our song, and this was when he had like 10,000 followers. This wasn't like 50,000 follower Colin Gaddis, like, you know. I was
like when you tell me like you do has like intro for General Banter, the General Banter. It's like you're like beating the back.
No, he asked me for beats one time in like 2018, and I sent him over the worst pieces of shit you've ever heard in your life.
I was like Daft Punk, but like from Belfast.
Oh, so bad. Like it was like I even towards the end of it there, I wasn't even good at beats. Never mind in 2018, and. Like I remember just being like big fans of it. We went to see my first ever comedy show I went to see live was General Banter live. Fucking cocksucker here, fuck's sake.
Lethal.
And it was on 2018, and it was the one with him and Mickey, and they were throwing that dildo about and all. Do you remember? We went for like your birthday or something. I was like, oh, it's Chico's birthday. I'll buy him tickets here. He didn't give a fuck. Like it's for me. Like.
It's a good birthday.
And I remember going a lot, and I remember just being like, that's fucking class. And I never like thought. I always thought it was out of reach. I always thought you had to be doing comedy 10 years to do it, you know. I never realised there was an open mic scene. I only thought it was like them guys did headline shows and that was it. I didn't realise there was comedy clubs and stuff. And then like just at the start of lockdown, I was like, I'd love to get into stand-up. And obviously lockdown happened, and then whenever lockdown like was like coming out of the closet, and like it was like coming out of it like October time maybe, or like August, I like said to everyone, I goes, I might try and do stand-up. And everyone was like, fuck, you know, like, because it's the same thing. Everyone thinks when you think of a comedian, you think of like SSA Arena. You don't think of like Lavery's. You don't think of a pavilion, you know.
I did Bennigan's, and straight away I was like, I can't wait to like walk out to this song in SSA Arena. Like I had this song and everything. I was listening because like I was like listening. You know Shawn Michaels, Sexy Boy. I was like, that's gonna be so funny. Everybody's gonna laugh when I come out that song because I did like Bennigan's like at 5 minutes last night. And I was like, yes, Oisín McCallion after doing one gig because my friends are always at my gig, so I always walk away feeling like Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I know. It's the opposite. See, whenever I bring my friends, fucking hate it. I literally every time I'm like sitting there, and my friends are the only people that.
The fuck did I come?
And I literally every time like. You weren't there. I think you were maybe in your sister's or something. I died in my hole in the Pav in like February. And it was one of them ones where like I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a piss here, and then just didn't come back in. Okay. And I got like a whole table of people. It was like 7 or 8 of us, and I was like, get the fuck out, we're leaving, we're
You
fucking
text
going.
them from like Castlecourt. I'm in Starbucks. Give me that over.
Yeah, it was one of them ones where I was like, I can't fucking do this, like. But that was like the last bad death I had. I died on my hole on Thursday there, but everyone did, so I didn't really blame myself, you know.
Aye, it's always nice when you go down with the ship. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's always good too. Like I feel like Pete's always one of them boys. Pete's like a fucking hot topic on here.
Yeah.
Pete Giffen. Pete's always like that one.
It's because he lives like across the road. So
I
it's
know,
like,
what a handy trick. I'm up here. But he always seems to be the one that's like giving people like, no, it'll be grand, sir. And he always looks like the most nervous before going on.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is all cool as a cucumber, like, I just have my notes and bullet points.
Yeah.
You go out, die, Pete goes out and luffs the roof, and you're just like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And like the sweat makes a thing. It's like, I don't know if it's like all the pores stuff like open up and let all the good stuff that he has in.
He's letting them pheromones out, like.
Oh, it freaks me out.
Giffen pheromones.
In Kiwis, I thought he was just going to like leave, but then he just went up and fucking like, everybody going nuts and saying like, it's funny though how people can look so cool and calm, fuck it up. Then you have people that's like a nervous wreck, and then go up and
it's the same with Franco. Before a gig, Franco will pace back and forth as if he's going to the fucking electric chair, and then he'll go up and just tear the roof out of the place. So I think he's brilliant that way. But yeah, I get what you mean. There is a lot of people who are a bit cocky before they go on, and then they don't do well. I like to be in denial about it before I go up. I like to like not think about the gig.
Pavilion's hit and miss because it's a good gig, but I feel like some people go to the Pavilion because when you type in comedy in Belfast,
it literally is.
It brings up Pavilion, and I think some people that don't normally go to comedy but watch the podcast, listen to this, that, and the other, they were going and be like, oh, where's Geddes or where's Mickey Bartlett, where's Shane Todd? Like, who the fuck's he? I've never seen him. I've never listened to him at work, and then you're up and you're trying to do your bit. But and here's comes back to that McGee one. Sometimes in the audience, even comedians want they laugh. If you don't get a laugh up there, you're like, why the fuck isn't the comedians laughing for me? They know how hard it is. But when you're in the audience and you're looking up, you physically cannot laugh. You're like, because you know where it's going, and it's the same with having the lights on too. Once the lights are on, you feel like it's, you know, when you're like in the dark corner of like a nightclub and you're like giving it that there, and like, all right folks, you like catch yourself in a reflection in the mirror, like, I like vampire. But that is the way it goes, and everybody, I think people say, sure, you're just on a mic, just tell a funny, and
no, there's a whole vibe behind it that needs to come with it. Like the room needs, again, that's why we all died in our hole at that fucking Ulster Sports Club, was because the like, it was just a crowd full of like wee 20-year-old hipsters. And they just refused to, like, they were like too cool to laugh, if you get what I mean.
You don't deserve my vocal.
That's what it was like. They were like, you're not Mickey Bartlett, you know. That's sort of
saving it down.
Yeah, and Tommy McCarthy, the boxer from Belfast, was on. He did really well. I went up and I just went, this is fucking shit. My end joke was me telling the crowd about how I should have wrapped it up 5 minutes before. I was like, I should have wrapped it up after that last joke, and then they laughed at that. See, I watched the video back of the set, and the only people that were laughing at me were the comedians, and I was like, oh well, I've got their vote, you know what I mean?
That's what I seen yesterday. Luke McGavin has one of the most like lovable faces, and I seen him yesterday just with his hair, long hair, and like put it behind his head and like smiled, and I was like, I don't give a fuck about anybody else in here than on it, and he just had that big like fucking beamer on him, and I was like, yes, go on,
he's so cute. Like I love Luke the best.
So Sarah's I didn't even know that she was the runner of that, and she was so friendly. She like, came up to me and I was like, oh, it's a pay gig. I was like, it's a pay gig, and like you were like right beside me. That happened.
When you got paid for it. You were like, oh.
This happens all the time because it's not advertised. Like people would just imagine like, oh, you're going up to do like you're lucky enough to get the time of day on there.
Exactly.
And then they crack out a purse or a wallet or a money bag. Like, what? It is nice.
After the O Magazine one, they call it the Golden Handshake. You know, fucking
Terry Morris said hello.
Franco was all, he was here for the gig, and I was like, thank you. And I went to like take it, and it slipped out of my hand, and I went, oh no! Nice. I was like on the ground, like picking it up, crying and all.
see when you were on about the whole like starting comedy lit thing, you're like, I never did an open mic and all this, that, and the other. That's that typical Northern Irish like because like, see, anytime I was away, and I always wanted to start hobbies. Always wanted to be a footballer, wanted to be a golf, boxing, I think kickboxing.
Every one of us has went through 40 phases for days. Like.
This is what happened to me before I knew I wanted to be an actor. Anything I watched, I wanted to be it. Yeah. If I watched Big Bang Theory, I was in the next day asking my science teacher, so what's physics? And I'd be like, this is happening. This is what's happening. And then the other one was like watching like just absolutely anything, like anything to do with cars. Like, I could be a mechanic. And then I just called it. I was like, no, I just want to act like I know what I'm doing, so I want to be an actor. But see, I always wanted to go to like the football clubs and this, that, and the other. But my dad was like, you need to be at football since you're like 5, and you're not going. I'm 6, and you know that there's what you're up against. Boxing, but you be boxing since you're like 3. You're like 13. You're like, oh, my friend started it. It's like, hi, you can't do it though. And that was always the
comedy's the perfect one for it.
Comedy's just for people with like a big imagination and like shouldn't be allowed a microphone, but sometimes it works. That's kind of it.
Like Paddy McDonald started quite late. I think he started in like his 40s, like late 30s, early 40s, and I'm like, that's. And he's fucking killing it at the minute, you know. I think we're like at a good age of it. We kind of started at a shit time because there's such a big influx of new comedians. It's not like when William and all started. Like
tidal wave.
Yeah, it's not like when like William or Jordan started and there was like 3 or 4 new ones on the scene. It was like, it's like we started and so did fucking 50 other people, you know. But again, about 49 of them have fucking phased out now. So there's some killers on the scene at the minute as well. There's like fucking like I always find myself pissing myself at Mike Carlisle, even though his stand up isn't my style whatsoever. No. It's not my sense of humor, like the clean cut like da humor. But he comes up and I'm just pissing myself at him every time.
Anytime she comes to the gig, we're cousins or friends, they always buckle when they see him in Bennigan's because he does about family and stuff. And
is it the Le Creuset this
one of them actually works with children. I think it's her cousin works with children, so she knows exactly what he's talking about. So there is people in the audience. Comedians sort of look at him here, oh, he didn't mention his dick once.
Yeah, no, that's
then,
like, you know, that's what I mean. That in my head, I'm like, whenever I started watching comedy, it was all Mickey and Colin. So it was all just like pedo jokes, you know. So like that's what like my sense of humor developed into early on, but I sort of have changed it about a lot since then, you know.
You're better off, and it's the same way. Well, a lot of it. If I like to tell most of the things that I talk about, they have happened. Like I said, you just turn it up a bit.
Exactly.
You throw in 3 dirty words, and people's like, you shouldn't be saying that. That's you're dirty, and then they come up to you afterwards like, you know, that doesn't actually happen, didn't you? Well, not like a bit of it did, but not to that degree. But
have you ever found yourself now, whenever you're like thinking of comedy and you're thinking of like, whenever you think of good comedians, you don't think outside of Northern Ireland anymore?
No. I think that English is like all about Live at Apollo stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even like the Hot Water Comedy Club boys, and everybody seemed to be really up their arse. I would love to go over and do a gig because it's good for promoting yourself.
Yeah.
But see, like some people's false set as crowd material, you're kind of like that's like
Paul Smith, cheap. Man has like the biggest tour in the world at the minute.
It's crazy.
His there's something like fucking like 80 dates all in arenas. And it's just all him just doing crowd work.
That's improv.
He could video every one of them and put it out as a new fucking set. You know?
One of the clubs I've seen, like I definitely wouldn't sit at the front row at one of his shows because
he's one of the ones that doesn't have any segue.
He doesn't, and you know, you get some comedians that might end up on your side. They might be like, oh, you look like a dick, and then they find out at the end, like, no, you're actually a really good person. It's nice talking to you.
Yeah.
I feel like he would talk to you. It would make you vulnerable to thinking he likes you, and then he would just fucking be like, oh, you're a wanker, and that's kind of it.
Every time it's like it starts off and going, you alright, mates? What's happening, lad? And then he just,
where's your bird?
Yeah, and then he's like, he'll just turn around and he go, I'm gonna ride here, you know, and you're like, fucking hell, like, chill out. Like,
turns out they fucking, what do you call him, Dave Chappelle and the Naughty Professor. Look at that big butt.
Fuck, that's a niche reference there. I love that fucking movie as well.
It is, but I'm enjoying it. I think that anybody that's still doing it, like, keep it going, but it's a wild bitchy community.
Oh, it is, yeah. I know.
So
I find myself doing it as well, though. But so I'm not going to talk too much shit about like people being bitchy. I'm only bitchy about people who are like acting bitch. I'm like, there's no call for that. You know, like I would never talk shit about anyone, and I'm the one person who would never backstab either. You know, so it's just some people I'm like, fuck up, like, you know, like people who need to be told to fuck up. You know, at the end of the day, it's some of the hopeless ones where you're like, you know, like they'll get mad at you for getting a gig and you're like, you haven't made anyone laugh in 10 gigs. Get the fucking work done first, you know, become funny before you start yapping about gigs, you know.
No, the big one is, it's when you get a gig, nobody's texting you before this happens. You'll get a gig that's a bit out of the open mic circuit. When I say it rhymes with Scentflyer.
Same, yeah.
So when you do that, a load of people text me straight away and was like, how'd you get that? You just smell it straight away. They're just like, and then you get I like to, like, you get I understand these days, you get a friend request, like, who the fuck's this?
Yeah.
Then you look at the mutual friends, like, oh, it's like every comedian
Yeah.
in Belfast or Derry.
Yeah.
It's like just 18 mutual friends, and it's like Franco, Mike Carlisle, and all Evans and Rory McSwiggan. But no, it's once you do like a decent gig that's a bit out there,
Yeah.
and it's really, and I had an absolute ball there. I'm looking forward to going back there now in January.
Yeah.
But just straight away, people was like, how'd you get that?
Oh,
Who'd you text to get that?
Is that the Empire? Yeah.
Everybody does that.
Yeah.
And it's fair, everybody wants to do it, and everybody will do the same too. For, if somebody gets a gig in Lavery's, like, how would you know Colin? Would you give him a text? Or same with Pub Gugglies? And then you just find out, you nearly have to wait till you're in their company, and hopefully it'll work out that way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's all just being like, this is the how-to manual on how to be an open mic.
But people, some people too just don't want to be decent. They want to to go down that like Oscar Wilde route where everybody's really pretentious about comedy, making out that it's an absolute tool, and you have to
they treat it like they're a celebrity this early in. You're like, mate, it's at this point all
some people are, which is impressive, but some people
again,
think,
whenever you're starting with Kieran Franco and people are asking him for photos, you're like, right.
That's why I knew this is what happened in Kiwis. Right after that, I was like, right, I need to do something, because Sean McCallion and Pete was there, and obviously the RE podcast, and Dave was getting. So here's the way it looked. That place is lovely, by the way. Kiwis, Gary Pollock.
I'm doing it next month, so
you'll love it. Free pizza. Dave's over here getting photos with a few people from it. Then you have Sean McAlevey and Pete Giffen getting photos with a girl here, and I'm standing there holding the camera.
Yeah.
And it's straight up.
You're getting cocked by
I was like holding the plant pot in the back of the stage. I was like, yep. You enjoying that, darling? That's kind of like and I was just sitting the whole time. I was like, I need a fucking pot, but I'd fuck it up. I can barely set up my Bluetooth in the car.
I think it did help a lot with the podcast, but I don't think it's. I think it's what you're saying. It's like you just need to be sound, because the podcast is like, obviously for us, we have put a lot of fucking work into how it looks, like has obviously like boosted the actual podcast itself. A lot of it is just repetition of people seeing you. Even if you posted like stand-up clips, like any crowd work or anything you done, if you like made a TikTok account or anything like that, just something stupid, like Sean posts clips of his like crowd work, and I'm looking on it, it's getting like thousands of views, and I'm like, fair play, man. That's.
I have TikTok.
Do you? Yeah.
I have TikTok. It's I don't know how to tag it, but I think it's just Oisín McCallion TikTok comedy.
Yeah.
But it's like there's like skits and stuff on it. I tried.
I remember your last sketch. I watched it. What was it on again? I think it was your last one anyway.
That Instagram, the Sin City Derry one.
Yes, the Sin City one. Yeah, that was
like I did that. Then I did the Bob Dalton one, and but. Like TikTok's grand, but you need to like have all the time in the world to like give that. No, it's good anyway. It's good to see it. You're, like I said, this as the fact that it's showing up on people's feeds on Spotify, and see it on being shared in stories. There's questions being asked. You have an audience. It's good to see.
Again, it's just a lot of hard work put into it. It's like anything. It's like doing stand up. It's just we were just lucky enough that. Like we had like a group of people doing it, like me and Chico, like even the fact that it's not just me and Chico, like our mates in the first few episodes came on, and they were funny as well, and and then it's also great that like I've got into this, and comedians are so willing to come on it. They're so willing to come on it, like yourself, like this has been a great episode so far, and then you're just going to say the N-word right at the end of it.
No!
Nuri. Like even I was talking to William about it yesterday, and William was like saying he was down for it and stuff, and I was like, that's class, It's probably going to be about 2026 before William gets a date free, like, to come on it, but
I think you can't do anything better than promote yourself when you're doing this, because if somebody else is promoting you, and you either have a wee like fan or else you have an agent for it, but like I think what you're doing, giving people a chance to come up, and
that's all I want to do.
Especially me, man. You're like giving boys. It's in the same situation as yourself. You're like, you want people to come to a gig to see a certain person or come see a group of people.
Yeah.
You have too many people that can either come a stage where you're gonna have to tighten your like.
Oh yeah.
I get that,
but at the minute, like I started this just wanting to give the open micers a platform to, because I know it's the same thing. Like as you were saying, you were like, oh, the podcast thing and all. Like it's like either you have a podcast or you don't. Why not give like the open micers a chance to show off how funny they are off stage? So Like, so it's stuff like, I don't know, not to suck my own dick too hard, like, but it just is one of them things. Is again, like, the door's always open. You're welcome to come on whenever. I know it's a fucking bit of a jaunt down.
As long as your man can like make a coffee like that again. Like I'm expecting at least an hour 90 followers after this goes out. You know what I mean?
Here,
at least.
To be fair, the clip I posted did you see the clip I posted with me and Pete talking about Lurgan?
Aye. The cat for a chippy.
Yeah, 10k views on that on TikTok. I was like, what? And then a clip I posted with me, Rachel, and Adam Byrne.
KFC depression.
Yeah, fuck, it's a fan.
Number 1.
It's on 12k on Instagram, and I was like, you know, so it seems to be the algorithm, because there's been funnier clips put out. That clip of me talking about Riley Reid, and I think that was the funniest clip we've done to date, and it's only on like 2,000. So, but again, you're fucking very welcome to come down whenever you want, even if it's like before a gig, if you're like shooting down this way or whatever. Anyway,
is there any gigs down here?
No. I think Pete, I don't want to say too much in case
he did say something about looking for a place.
Like I think if Pete's running one, I don't want to say too much in case he's like, you know, he's
hush,
yeah, but I think Pete is talking and talks to. I'd do it as soon as I could, you know, and I have quite a extensive list of people I would love to get on a lineup as well, including yourself. So if I'm running one down here, I probably would as well, because Mickey and Sean Haggerty used to run a load of gigs down here. But apparently it's the worst fucking thing in the world.
I heard it in a few podcasts that they sort of try it, crash and burn sort of situation. But you know, it's always good to try. And
exactly.
Especially nowadays, I feel like, because Get Us and Boys is always so popular, and comedies now, everybody's going to it for the sake of all, everybody's funny. So I think that the tune of what people want to go see is changing to comedy. So if you probably brought it up, everybody go for a night out. Everybody likes it.
It's just the same thing as speaking of, I was actually going to say much to plug, because I want to maybe make a clip out of this as well, just to put it on TikTok for the plug for it. But we are doing the Ulster University in Magee in Derry, or LondonDerry if you're wrong.
Ulster. That's right. Ulster University, Magee Campus Student Union. It's hard to find. It really is.
It, yeah.
We have to. Me and the boy at this filming the sketches with me. Me and him's gonna have to do we're gonna do some sort of directions sketch to get there, to make it easy to watch and easy to understand, because a lot of people bought tickets to go to the last one, but were ringing and texting me couldn't find it, left it, went to the bar. That's what happens. But that's the 27th of
October, and the lineup's fucking great. It's yourself MCing, is it?
That's correct.
Unreal. Donnie Kelly's on, Adam Byrne's on. If you're a fan of the podcast, you know Adam Byrne quite well. Rachel McPeak's on, myself's on, and then your headliner William Thompson, who's been a topic on this podcast. So,
yes.
So I think that'll be a great one. You are doing the Empire again at some point. Do you want to give the date for that, or do you not have a date? Or
no, it's I have a date. I made sure I got a date for that one. It's 10th of January. It's in the new year.
Unreal.
So that'll be good.
Class. Yeah, I'm sure you'll probably be on again by the time. It's just obviously it's the drive for you.
I have a new cookbook coming out. I want to talk about my new cookbook.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, right, Jerry Adams, calm down.
Yeah.
But so I'll put it. Just send me over all the titles for your socials, and I'll put them in the thing, and we'll just.
It's your boy. I'm gonna get that over.
Yeah, get all the TikToks and stuff up. But we'll see what clips we can make out of this, and sure. Till next time, brother. Thank you for coming on, and
thank you for having me.
See you fucking later.